Okay, so now so far what we have covered is like a software testing concept we have understood, and we have also implemented them in software testing project. So we know about how we can understand requirements and how to write test scenarios and how to write test cases and execution and bug reporting, right? So test sign off is simply the process. So far we have seen all the stages. Okay, this is the actual process which happen in the real time STLC process. Just start from the functional requirement, understanding test scenarios, and then writing the test cases, execution, and so on. So now this is a traditional process because nowadays no company is following this particular process. So because currently we don't have any requirements, okay, requirement document we will not have in the company when you are joining the new companies. But rest of the processes, everything is same. We need to write a test scenarios, we need to write our test cases, execution, bug reporting. These are the common roles of every automation or every tester, manual tester as well as automation tester. But today we'll completely focusing on agile testing process. So this is the latest process the companies are currently following. Okay, this is a current trend market. So today we'll completely focusing on how we can follow the process in as part of agile, and how the process will be, what are the different activities we perform, and I will also explain this agile process completely by taking a small project. Okay, and we can also automate this complete agile process by using Jira Tool. So we will also going to discuss about Jira Tool, how we can automate all these activities in Jira Tool. Fine. So now today let us talk about agile process. So how the software development will be happen in the agile process. This is the latest model currently the market. 90% of the markets are following, companies are following agile process. Now let us see what is agile, how the process will be, and what are the different new terminologies. So far we have used like requirement and a test case and different terminologies we have used. And in agile perspective we have a different kind of terms. Okay, first we need to understand them. So now let us start with the agile process. Just a minute. Okay, so now what is agile process? So agile is an approach to software development under which requirements and solutions evolve through the collaborative effort of self-organizing and cross-functional teams and their customer and user. So basically, agile process is talk about the collaboration. So there are few important points which we need to remember here. So one is a collaborative effort, okay, and requirements and solutions and a cross-functional teams. These are the important terms we need to understand. So agile is nothing but it's a kind of a software development process, just like a previously we have waterfall model and prototype model and so on, right? And similarly, we also have the agile process model. So this is also for developing a software. But what is the specialty in agile process is here's developers and also testers. Testers and also developers will work together as a one team. Okay, that is the specialty here. And this team is called as an agile team. Agile team. And one more important thing is here there is no separate teams, like so all combined together we call as an agile team. So agile team means it's a collection of multiple people, like testers will be there, developers, product managers, and everybody will be part of this particular team. And here the role is not important. Okay, so the task what they are performing is very important. So here we don't have any specific designations. So there are no seniors and juniors like this. Everybody will fall under the same uh, criteria or same category. So agile process, testing as well as development will go parallelly. Okay, so it is not like a waterfall model. So once we have done this and next we go for a next step. So it is not like that. So testers as well as developers will go both parallelly. So developer do their task and parallelly the tester is also will perform their task, and all together everybody comes under one team, that's called agile team. So both the development and testing activities are concurrent, unlike the waterfall model. So in waterfall model, what we have to do first, we need to do analysis and the design, testing, coding, and then testing will happen, right? But this is a step-by-step process. But in Agile, it is not the step-by-step process. So testing activities as well as development activities will go both parallel. Okay, and here there is a lot of collaboration is required. So there is a lot of communication is required. Okay, and one more advantage is we can just uh, get the customer requirements, and whenever the customer change the requirements, we can just easily accommodate those requirements in this part of software development process. But in other models like waterfall model, suppose after 1 month or 2 months the customer came and changed their requirements or asked to implement some other new requirements, and by that time we are in the middle of software development process, so this time it is little bit difficult to accommodate all the requirements or changing the requirements, right? So but in agile process we can easily accommodate all the requirements. Whenever the changes or new requirements is added, we can easily accommodate into your development process. So that is all about agile. So agile is a software development process model where the development and as well as testing activities will go parallelly and collaboratively. Now let us see what are the new terminologies we have to use in agile process. In agile process, before going to discuss this model, we need to understand few terminologies. And here we use very common terminologies called as epic, story, and task. So first we need to understand this terminology. What is epic? What is story? What is task? In normal previous processes, we have understood functional requirement document, right? So what is functional requirement document? Which contains the requirements which are specified by the customer. So by reading the function requirement specification, we have understood the functionality of application. But in agile process, the documentation is very less. We don't have much documentation because agile is nothing but a very faster. So it is a fastest model. So everything will happen very faster. So if you create for everything, if I create some document, it takes a lot of time, right? So the document 90% the document will be avoided in agile process. So here we don't have any FRS document to understand the requirements. So instead of FRS document, we have epics and stories. So what is epic and what is story? So epic is a larger requirement. So basically it is designed by why, means define the business needs. Let's say there is a customer. So he will create the epics. So what is their business requirement? And they will create a certain number of epics. And based on this epic is nothing but a larger requirement, very high level and very larger requirement. And based on this epic, we have to derive these epics into smaller pieces. They're called as a features, again divided into number of stories. So story is nothing but a smaller requirement. Story is nothing but a smaller requirement. And epic is nothing but a bigger requirement, a larger requirement. Okay. So for example, let's say one epic is there. So let's say as a suppose as a user, okay, I want to use online banking application. So as a user, I want to use online banking application. So that is a epic. That's a very bigger requirement, right? So as a user, if user want to use online banking application, so there are so many functionalities and scenarios to be there. Again, inside that particular epic, if I divide it into multiple pieces, as a user, I need to log into the application. As a user, I need to verify my balance. As a user, I can send a transfer, I can transfer money. So these are all activities we can do. So all these things are comes under the stories. So epic is a larger requirement, whereas story is a smaller requirement. And if I divide epic into multiple pieces, that will become a story. So that means define a customer needs. Actually, the story is talking about detailed requirement. So by understanding this story, by reading these stories, we can understand the functionality of the application. Okay, so in agile process, we don't have any requirement kind of stuff. We have only epics as well as stories, features and stories. And who will derive this? These are all derived from product owner. So there are some different designations we have in agile process. We are calling as a product owner, scrum master, agile team, stakeholders. There are new terminologies coming to the picture here. Okay. Now here, who is responsible for getting these epics, stories and all means product owner is a responsible guy who is responsible for get these stories and create these stories based upon the features which are provided by the customer. Okay, so this product owner is a main person who is always interacting with the customer. So he has to get all these features as well as stories from the customer, and he will prepare these stories. He'll get the feature from the customer, and then he will prepare a stories for all the features and all the epics. He will create all the stories. Okay, and these are the input for us. So if you want to understand the functionality, we need to understand the story. We need to go through all the stories. A story is a smaller requirement in agile process. Now for that particular story, we have to create number of tasks. So for example, let us say an example. So for example, here I'll just create one epic. Let's say I have an epic like this. So what is an epic is? Epic is nothing but a high level requirement. High level, or is a huge requirement. Okay, so example. So as a user, I need to use online banking application. So this is an epic. It's a bigger requirement. So as a user, if you want to online banking application, I can do lot of things on this. But this says very high level requirement. This is called epic. Now let's say story now. So story means a smaller kind of requirement. Let us say as a user, this is the story. As a user, I can log in into online banking application. So this is the one story we have to, and let's say we can create multiple stories like this. And story 2. So as a user, as a customer, I can verify, or I can check my balance, or my balance in my account. So this is another story. So like this, we can create any number of stories for this epic. Now every story contains specific number of tasks. So let us say take this particular story. So this story, for this particular story, tester will work on it and developer is also will work on it parallelly. So what developer will do here? This particular story, whatever the developer task has to perform. So developer has to perform certain things on this particular story. So what they will do is they will understand this story, or they will review this story first, review the story, and they will estimate this how much time this story will take for development. So they will estimate the story, and they will design the story, and they will develop, or they will code it, right? They will code it, and they will perform unit testing and integration testing. So these are all comes under the development task for this particular story. And similarly, parallelly, the QA also will do their own task for this story. So for example, what the QA task? The QA should also review the story. What is the story? And he has to prepare the test cases and test scenarios for that particular story, right? And he has to prepare the test data for that particular story, and he has to review those test cases with the team, and he has to prepare the test environment, has to prepare the test environment, and he has to execute your test cases, and you have to report the bugs. So these are all comes under the testing activity. These are all comes under the testing task. So what we understood we so far is, in agile process we'll start with the epic. So epic is nothing but very high level requirement from the customer. So the product owner will divide these epics into multiple stories, a smaller piece of requirement. And for every story, the developer will perform certain tasks, and for every story, QA also will perform their own tasks. So collaboratively, the dev as well as QA will work regarding this particular story. So once the story is completed, is nothing but the development activities and also QA activities will be completed, and then only we can say the story is completed. So once the story is completed, we will demo it to the customer again. So first we need to demo it to the team, QA, dev as well as product owner, and then we will demo that particular story to the customer. Okay, if the customer satisfied is fine, or if you suppose if the customer says some more changes, we can just accommodate again. Okay, so this is how we need to process. So first thing in agile process, we need to understand what is epic, what is story, and what is the task. So epic is a larger requirement, and the stories are the smaller requirement, and the task is an action which we need to perform on that particular story. Okay, and what is the difference between product owner and business analyst? So business analyst basically comes in the previous waterfall model and other models we call as a business analyst. So he will analyze the business basically. Okay. Yes, in the agile process, we don't have any business analyst and all. So we have only product owner. Okay, product owner is responsible for getting the requirement from the customer. And here we don't have any kind of business analyst guy. So business analyst is a role or designation which will comes under the waterfall or other models like V model and other models. But here we don't have specific designation. Product owner is a responsible guy. So we is interacting with the customer always. Okay. So product owner is also a guy. So he's a person. He's a responsible for getting the requirement from the customer. So I'll talk about those responsibilities. Okay, just wait for a moment. Fine. So here we have to understand first what is epic and story and task. So we have understood what is epic. It is a larger requirement, and story is nothing but a smaller requirement, and task is an action which we need to complete for that particular story. Okay. Now let us move on to the process. So here I have listed out the roles. So especially in Agile, there are three different roles. I'm not talking about classical models. Okay, here just remember these are the roles we have in Agile. Okay, Agile roles. So the first person in the Agile process is the product owner. So he is the person responsible for getting the requirements. So he is the guy, he's always interacting with the customer. Okay, so product owner is responsible for getting the requirements. The product owner means he is not a customer. Okay, he is not a customer. So he will get the requirement from the customer, and also called as the stakeholders. Stakeholders are nothing but they are the people will use the software later. So product owner is the first person. He is a mediator between the company as well as the customer. So he is a responsible person, will get all the requirements, and also he will do a lot of activities. So what is the responsibilities of product owner is he will define the features of the product. So based upon the customer requirements, he will define the features in the sense again epics and stories. And he will also decide on release date and content. So he is the person who will decide the release date and everything. And he is the person who will prioritize the features according to the market value. So suppose the customer given let's say 10 requirements, and the product owner will decide which one is the priority one, and those features will deliver first to the customer. And he will also responsible for adjust features and priority every iteration as needed. So sometimes initially we got 10 requirement from the customer, and product owner is responsible for what are the first features we need to deliver, because we don't deliver all the features at the same time to the customer. So we will deliver them in version by version. In the first version we will deliver few features, in the second version we will deliver few more features like this. So what are the features we need to go first? So that is again depends on decided by the product owner. Okay, and accept or reject the work result. Suppose the developer as well as testers work together and they completed their development and testing. Finally, they have demoed the product to the product owner, and product owner should decide whether the product is working according to customer requirement, or do we need to do certain changes. So if he is not satisfied, he can just reject it, and if he is satisfied, and then we can deliver to the customer. So these are the different roles the product owner will perform. Okay, so his main role is getting the requirements from the customer, creating the epics and stories, and prioritizing those stories, and deciding the release dates and all. And then he is also have right to accept or reject our work results. So these are the main tasks the product owner will do. Okay, these are one guy in the agile process. And along with this product owner, we have also Scrum Master and Scrum Team. So Scrum Master is a different role actually. So Scrum Master is not a manager, he's not a developer, he's not a tester. Okay, he's not belong to any specific team. So Scrum Master is a specific role who is facilitating the complete agile process, or who is driven the complete agile process. And also Scrum Master is not owner of the product. He don't care about the product. He will care about the process. Okay. Just Scrum Master is always talk about the process, how work is going on. Okay. Is there any blockers? How we can proceed? What are the challenges we face and how we can overcome these challenges? So all these things are taken care by the Scrum Master. And remember this, Scrum Master is not a developer. Scrum Master is not a QA or tester. Scrum Master is not a manager. Okay, Scrum Master is a different role. So normal in the companies, whoever is having or whoever has done the Scrum Master certification, so they will recruit those persons in the Scrum Master role. So they will drive the complete agile process. Okay, and he's a mediator person between all the team, product owners, developers, and QA, everybody. So Scrum Master is also very important person in the agile process. He can drive the agile process. And the other one is a Scrum team. Scrum team is nothing but developers plus QA. So all comes under the one team because they together will work for one goal. So what is the goal here? We need to deliver the product to the customer. That's the only one goal. So to deliver this particular product on time, developer as well as testers should work. So these people are actual executors, actual workers. But product owner is responsible for giving us the inputs from the customer. And Scrum Master will drive the process, complete agile process, he will drive it. Okay, that's the role of Scrum Master. So Scrum Master, product owner, Scrum team. So other than this role, there is no other role present in the agile process. So business analyst or technical and other people are managers, dev manager, QA manager. These are all people are like people management. Okay, not for the product. Okay, so especially for agile process, we have only three roles. One is Scrum Master, product owner, and agile team. So agile team in the sense developers as well as QA. Okay, so this is the first and very important thing we need to understand. Now, so before going to process of agile, we need to understand two things. Here we are talking about epic, right? And there we talk about the what is story and we talk about what is task. So epics are divided into multiple stories and every story the developer is having its own task and the QA is also having their own task. And here there are two things we need to understand, that is DOR, okay, and there is other one, definition of done. So DOR is nothing but definition of ready and DOD means definition of done. So these are the two things we need to understand. Let me just write it out here. DOR means definition of ready and DOD means definition of done. So these are the two terms we need to understand here, especially in agile process. DOR means definition of ready and definition of done. So if any activity, if I do something, suppose if there is a story, let us say one story is there. So when we need to say whether the story is ready to pick up for coding and testing, and when we need to say whether the story is completed or definition of done. So we need to follow certain rules here. So any task, it can be story or it can be epic or it can be document or it can be anything. If I say something, you will tell in the status report, you will say, okay, I have done something. So what is the meaning of done? So when we need to say what is done. And similarly, what is the definition of ready? Suppose they say like story, developer says like, okay, story is ready for testing. So what is that ready? So what is the criteria we need to have to make that particular story is ready? And similarly, if I say story testing is done, so what is the done means? When we need to say the story is done. So for that, we need to have certain rules here. Okay, we need to define certain rules in the agile process. Now let us discuss those rules here. So definition of ready and definition of done. So when I say definition of ready, we need to have certain rules like user story is clear and user story is testable, user story is feasible, user story is defined, user story acceptance criteria defined, user story dependencies identified, and user story dependencies are identified, user story sized by development team. So once we reach all these things, once we are done all these things, then we can say particular user story is ready for testing. Okay, and similarly, if I say definition of done means when we have to say story is completed means code should be produced, code is commented, checked in and against current version in the source control, peer reviewed, builds without errors, unit test written and passing, deployed to system test environment, pass the system test and pass UAT test. Okay, so all these things should satisfy, and then only we can say definition of done. So when a task or a story, if I say it is ready for testing or if it is ready, then it should satisfy all these points. And if something or it is a task or story, if it is done, means it should satisfy all these rules. But all the rules not applicable for all the times, but at least we need to follow these particular rules when I say done or it is ready. Okay, so before jumping into the agile process, we need to understand these terms. So what is DOR, what is DOD? So DOR means definition of ready, means it is a number of rules which we have designed when we say a story or task or epic is ready. And similarly, definition of done means it is contains set of rules which says about when we need to say done. Okay, before when I say something is done, we need to cross verify whether all activities have been completed or not, and then only we say okay, we have done. Okay, so this is all about definition of ready, definition of done. So this is just theoretical understanding we need to have beginning before jumping into the agile process. Okay, now let us discuss about the complete process, end-to-end process of agile. Now, so let me just tell you very high level first, and then we'll go to the picture. So suppose the customer we have, let's say a customer. Okay, so here we have a product owner. He's a product owner. Okay, and where you have Scrum Master as well as Agile team. So first, how the planning will happen is initially. So customer is having some epics, and the product owner will get all the information from the customer, and product owner will have will prepare some document here. So this is called as a product backlog. Remember this, okay? This is called as a product backlog. These are the new terms which we need to understand. So what is a product backlog? I'll write it here. Product backlog. So what is a product backlog? Product backlog in the sense this is a uh, prepared by product owner, and what it contains, which contains requirements, from the customer. So product backlog is prepared by the product owner at the beginning level, and which contains the requirement, contains the requirements which are given from the customer. So this is called about product backlog. So product owner will create the product backlog, so which contains the all the requirement. Normally it is an Excel sheet. Okay, so you will note it down 1, 2, 3, 4 and everything. So this contains the requirements in the sense stories. Again, epics and stories will have in this document. Now, based on this, so the complete team like product owner, Scrum Master, Agile team will have a meeting, release planning meeting. So this is complete release process. Okay. So let us say he has a 10 epics or 10 stories have to implement. So they don't provide all 10 stories at the same time to the customer. So let us say customer wanted all the stuff, let us say within 3 months. This is the deadline. Now within the company, so in the release planning stage, what we do is the complete, we have a 3 months of time. So 3 months of time completely divided into multiple parts. Let's say I have 10 features or 10 stories. So we will divide entire cycle or 3 months into multiple parts. And each and every part is called as a sprint. This is called as a sprint, or we also call as a iteration. Sprint or iteration. So it will be normally 2 to 3 weeks, not more than that. Okay, it will be 2 to 3 weeks of time. Now in the product backlog, whatever stories we have, so product owner will prioritize them. Okay, they will prioritize them. What are the stories we need to implement and test in the sprint 1, and what are the stories we need to implement and test in the sprint 2 and sprint 3 and so on. So in the first sprint, let us say 3 requirements have implemented and test. Implement and test means we have to complete that. So once we completed the first sprint, one version of the software released to the customer. And on top of it, again we'll start the second sprint, and again we'll take few more requirements and few more stories, and development and QA activities will going on. And once the second sprint is completed, another version of software released to the customer. And similarly, sprint 3, sprint 4. At the end of the last sprint, the complete software will go to the customer, because by that time, all the stories have been developed as well as tested. Okay, so this is how the agile process will happen. So at very high level, the release time will be divided into multiple sprint, and every sprint we need to plan again. So this is the main activities we do during sprint. Okay, so every sprint developers will do certain activities and testers will do certain activities, and before that we need to also do the sprint planning. So release planning is different and sprint planning is different. In the release planning, all the team will decide how many sprints are required, and each sprint how many stories we have to develop and test. But in the sprint planning, we have to decide what are the stories we have to develop and test, and what is the duration of the sprint, and what are the different tasks the developer will do, what are the different tasks tester will do, what is the estimation. So all these things will be discussed during the sprint planning meeting. Okay, now let's see the picture and then we can easily understand this. So Agile is nothing but a Scrum here. There is another term called a Scrum. Scrum is nothing but a team. Scrum team is nothing but a Scrum Master, Product Owner, Developer, QA. So all together we call as a Scrum team. Okay. So here the first role starts from the Product Owner. So what the Product Owner will do is he will take the input from executives, teams, stakeholders, customers and users, and he will prepare the product backlog. So what the product backlog contains? The product backlog contains all the requirements like epics and stories which are given by the customer. So this is the first step. And once they have the product backlog, so they will plan sprint planning meeting. Sprint is nothing but 2 to 3 weeks of time. So before sprint is starting, let's say sprint is starting so and so date and so it end. Let us say 1st September it will start, and let's say 15th September it will end, or 20th September it will end. So almost 3 weeks of time. So between these sprints, so before starting the sprint time, we need to plan it first of all. Before one day, we have to plan the sprint. Now here it will start. So sprint planning meeting will happen. So what we need to do in sprint planning meeting? So in the sprint planning meeting, so developers will be there as well as QA also will be participated. Now product owner will show what are all product backlog, what are all stories we have in the product backlog, and develop, and also he will say what are the priorities, what are the stories we'll need to complete first. And then developers and QA means the team is nothing but again developer as well as QA. So these people will go through each and every story and they will give the estimation point, that's called as a story point. So for every story there will be estimation point, that is called as a story point. So what is story point here? Story point is an estimation given by tester and developer for the specific story. So that is called as a story point. It's a kind of an estimation, means so I need to decide first, okay, this is the story, whether it is complex or medium or very small story or not. So for that we need to I need to plan my tasks. So what are the different tasks I need to do for that particular story, and how many hours each task will take. So based on that we need to give a story point estimation. This is called as a story point estimation. So during sprint planning, developer as well as QA will sit together and they will give estimation for every story. And normally this estimation will give you in the Fibonacci series, not in the hours, not in the days. Okay, remember this. So estimation is always gives in the form of Fibonacci series. Let's say here, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 20. This is called as a Fibonacci series. So these are not representing number of hours. These are not representing number of days. Okay, estimation is nothing but the rough one. So we are not guarantee like we have completed work. We have to completed work before this time and after this time. So estimation is just a rough estimation. So this is not 100% fixed. But suppose if we have some story like this. So developer will give you some number to this story. Okay. So this story seems very complex. So I need lot much time and lot many hours I need to spend. I can just say 13 is my story point. So he will think that. And similarly, QA point of view, QA guys also will give the same estimation for the same story. And let's say QA activities are different and dev activities are different. Sometimes the developer will take a lot of story points, but sometimes will QA take less number of story points. And sometimes the developer may need less number of story points, but QA tasks are very high, and sometimes QA will give a lot of more story points. Let us say QA people is given story point as a 8, and on an average they will take. So between 8 and 13, so almost which one is highest, or how many votes they are getting more. Suppose that their developers are 5, QA are 3, total 8 people. How many people are giving 13 more? So how many more people giving 13 or 8 based upon the number of people, based upon the size. Suppose let's say 7 people are giving 13 and rest of them are giving just 8. Okay, and then they will finalize 13 as a story points. So like this, we have to give dev as well as QA both will give you a story point estimation for every story. Okay, based upon their tasks, and finally which one they will finalize. So maximum voting they will consider. So there are number of QA and number of developers. Each and everybody in the team should give the story point. Suppose QA is having 5 people or 3 people, 3 people has to give the story point estimation, and developer has 5 members, or the developer 5 people should give the story point estimation, and overall it will take the on an average, or whoever is voting maximum number, so that number will be considered as a estimation story point. Okay, so that thing will happen during sprint planning meeting. So the main activity is one, story point estimation, and second thing is they will decide what are all stories we have to implement as part of this particular sprint. So sometimes the product owner says, I want to complete, you guys should complete 5 different stories in first sprint itself. So dev and QA will estimate all the 5 stories, and sometimes they say, okay, it is possible. Or sometimes if the stories are very complex, then dev and QA will say, okay, we cannot accommodate 5 stories in the first sprint itself. We can just implement only 3 features or 3 stories in first sprint, and rest of them will implement the next sprint. So that's how the communication will happen during sprint planning meeting. Okay, so the product owner will say always priority, what are the prioritized stories, and based on that again developer as well as QA will choose or will commit that those stories. Okay, we are going to develop these stories for this particular sprint, and testers also will commit, okay, we are going to test these particular stories in that particular sprint. And finally, in this particular sprint planning meeting, they will create one more document called as a sprint backlog. This is very important. Sprint backlog. So now we need to understand the difference between what is product backlog, what is sprint backlog. So product backlog is a document which will be prepared by the product owner, which contains the requirement from the customer and stories and epics. Now in the sprint planning meeting, okay, we will decide what are all requirements or what are all stories we have to implement and test for that particular sprint. We will commit those requirements. Dev and QA will commit those requirements. So they will list out those requirements or those stories called as a sprint backlog. So sprint backlog contains the committed stories. Sprint backlog contains the committed stories, whereas product backlog contains the complete stories, all the stories which are given by the customer. Okay, so for example, let us say in first sprint, the developers and QAs decided, okay, 3 stories we will develop and test. But somehow, because of some challenges and some issues, they were not able to complete 3 stories. They are able to only complete 2 stories. But what happens about third story? Again, the third story will go back to the backlog, product backlog, and they will plan that story in next sprint. Okay, they will plan that particular story in the next sprint. But the developer and QA should justify the reason for that, why they are not able to implement this 3, because they have the committed beginning at beginning level. So they have committed to implement and test these requirements, these stories. But at the end of the sprint, they were not able to complete 3 stories. They have completed only 2 stories. So they have to give proper reason and justification why they are not able to develop these 3 stories. Okay, so that's how the sprint planning will happen. So during sprint planning, they will decide what are the stories they will first estimate those stories, and based on the estimation they will decide what are all stories we can implement and test. Both should happen, development, testing, automation, everything should happen within the sprint itself. So QA should plan accordingly, so all the tasks should be able to complete for that particular story within the sprint itself, 2 to 3 weeks of time. Okay, and they will prepare the sprint backlog, and for each story in the sprint backlog, the developer will write their own task, and tester, they will write own task. They will define their own task. Normally, what the developer task will be: understanding requirements, setting up the environment, creating the unit test cases, develop the programs, testing of unit testing, integration testing, build creation. So all these things are comes under the developer task or developer activities for that particular story. And what are the tester tasks for that particular story? He has to understand the story, he has to prepare the test data, he has to prepare the test scenarios, test cases, and making test environment ready, okay, and build a deployment, execution, functional testing, retesting, bug reporting, okay. All these things comes under the tester task. So for every story, developer will define their own task and tester will define their own task. And during this particular sprint, let's say 1 to 4 week, I said, right, but not more than 1 to 4 means almost 1 month. But normally the sprint duration will be 1 to 3 weeks, not more than 3 weeks, okay. So during the sprint time, so developers and testers will work on that particular story, and within the sprint itself, all the testers and all the developers should complete their tasks, okay. And they have to complete this task, and once they have completed their stories, they have to give demo to the stakeholders or product owner, QA, dev, everybody. And before that, in this particular sprint cycle, Scrum Master will organize everything, okay. Scrum Master will be very important role during the agile process. So he will monitor the complete process, how it is going on. So what are the stories they have committed, so how the progress is going on, or dev or QA side any challenges they are facing, or any blockers are there, how to resolve them. So are we good to go or not? So any blocker, so all these things are taken care by the Scrum Master. So he will monitor the complete status of the stories. And here, within the 2 to 3 weeks of time, the sprint will going on. So during the sprint, every 24 hours, that means every day, there is a meeting called 15 minutes of meeting. Every day we have to meet within 15 minutes. Everybody will be part of that particular meeting. So that's called as a scrum meeting, okay. This is called as a daily scrum meeting. Every day 15 minutes the meeting will be happen, and whoever is part of that particular scrum, let us say 10 people are part of that particular team, and each individual should give their status, okay. So in that particular status, what they will think, they don't discuss more things, okay. They will just discuss about the progress, not other things. Only 15 minutes. So here they will just discuss about what is the status from the last 24 hours, what we have done last 24 hours, and in the next 24 hours what you are going to do, what is your plan, and if you have any blockers or not. In the last 24 hours, you have committed to do, you have already committed to do something, but you have not completed. Why it is not completed? Do you face any challenges, or do you have any blockers? So those things we have to discuss during this particular meeting. And in this meeting, developers and QA and Scrum Master, sometimes product owner is also part of this meeting. So every day 15 minutes of time will spend to discuss the status of your stories, how their developer is doing, how the testers are doing, how the developer tasks are going on time or not, and the tester tasks are going on time or not, if they are facing any issues. So all these things will be discussed during this scrum meeting. This is called daily scrum meeting. So every day will happen during the span of pre-sprint. Okay. So once this is completed, okay, 2 to 3 weeks sprint is completed. So one version of the software is ready. So we have developed the story and we have tested the story. Now before releasing to the customer, we have to give the demo to the all stakeholders. Means especially for product owner should approve the demo. Product owner should approve it. Okay, so here once we completed this, we need to give final demo to product owner, QA team, as well as demo. So normally these demos are given by QA people because they are the testers, right? So once they have done the testing complete stuff, they will set up an environment and give the demo on the story how it is working to the product owner. Product owner doesn't know how the developer is implemented, how the testing is done. So ultimately what he will say is, what is the customer requirement, whether or my product is working to according to customer requirements satisfying or not. So the only the taken care by the product owner. Suppose if the product owner doesn't like the design or development and outcome, again he can reject our development and testing. So again we need to start from the scratch. Okay, so develop product owner is a main responsible person. He has to give us a requirement and he has to approve the product. Okay, so after completion of the sprint, we finish that work and then we'll give the final demo to product owner, Q as a dev, and we'll finish the sprint. So this is complete sprint life cycle. From the product backlog, we'll have the sprint planning meeting. During that meeting, we will estimate the story points. We'll choose the stories to develop and test in this particular sprint. And during 2 weeks, developer will design their tasks. QA will design their tasks. They will complete their task within the 2 to 3 weeks of sprint. And finally, once the story is completed, they will give the demo to the PO, QA, and developer team, and then sprint is completed. So once the sprint is completed, at the end, we need to do certain meeting here, sprint retrospective meeting. This is the last meeting we have to conduct after completion of the sprint. So what is this meeting is? In this meeting, all the team people meet together and they will discuss in that particular sprint, during the sprint, what we have done well. So what are the things went well and what went wrong, means what are the challenges we face, okay, why we have delayed some tasks and why we are not able to complete the task on particular time or committed time. So those things we will discuss, what went wrong and what are the improvement areas we have to do for the next sprint. So those things will be discussed here. This is called as a sprint retrospective meeting, and this meeting will be conducted after completion of the first sprint. And like this, there are multiple sprints will go on till we release the complete product to the customer. So multiple sprints will going on till the release time or release deadline, and every sprint the process is same. So again, we will take few more stories, and again dev and QA will estimate those stories. Again, plan it or committed those stories for the sprint two. Again, in sprint two also, developers and testers will design their tasks and complete their task and give the demo. And every day they will have Scrum meeting to discuss the status. So all these things will go as usual. Okay, and this is how the agile process will work. So the main we need to understand is roles. Product owner will prepare the product backlog, and developer and QA will commit the stories, which is part of sprint backlog. And these stories will be done by the developer and QA. Scrum master is a guy who is managing the complete agile process. Okay, so if there are any challenges, if there is processing is delay or if any blockers, he is the responsible guy to talk to the management. And finally he will review. So like once the sprint is completed, they need some metrics like how much we effort, how much estimation we have done before, and after completion of the sprint, did we achieved correctly or did we done the correct estimation or something more time we have taken or we have completed within the less time. So how they will know? So by using these charts, burn down and their velocity charts, there are some metrics we have. So based on the metrics, they will analyze the process, how strengthen that particular process, how what is went well and what are the mistakes we have done, how much time we are lacking, so how planning we have done. So all these things they will know about by reviewing the metrics in the form of graphs. So that is again responsibility of the scrum master and program managers and all. Okay, so this is how the complete agile process, end to end process. Okay, now here the main important thing is story points estimation we talked about, and this is called as a scrum board. So suppose let us say one story we have. So one story we have multiple tasks. Let's say task 1, task 2, task 3 and task 4, right? So all these tasks we need to, okay, so these are, let's say, story 1, story 2, story 3 and 4. So this is called as a scrum board. Normally scrum master will monitor this particular one. So every day we need to tell, let's say story 1 here, story 2 here, story 3 here. So this particular story in which status? Your to do status, or it is in progress, or it is testing, or it is done. It will need to move from stage to another stage. So here to do means again the developer task will be there, QA task will be there, and some developer task will be in progress, some QA task will be in progress. And testing, during testing phase it is, and then once the testing is completed and the story will be done. So once the story is reached till here, this is a demoable product, so we can just demo to this product owner and stakeholders. So this is called as a scrum board. It will clearly says what is the status of the story. Okay, so to do means it is ready to do, or it is in progress, or it is in testing phase, or it is done. Okay, and here Scrum Master is a role. Always he will conduct the Scrum meeting with the complete team and he will understand and challenges, blockers. If there are any issues, he as the guide has to resolve those issues. Okay. Suppose tomorrow, let's say in Scrum meeting, I told, okay, I have some task I should able to complete by tomorrow. And again, tomorrow I have attended the same Scrum meeting. I told, okay, I have planned this task from the last 24 hours, but I could not complete that because the environment is not ready and I have requested some ticket, it is still not solved. So these kind of reasons and justification we have to do. And then Scrum Master will follow this one. Why it is taking a long time to fix that issue, or why it is taking environment setup is taking a lot of time. So all these things will bother. We don't bother about anything. Only thing is, if you completed our task, we have to just say completed. If you are not completed task on time, we have to say just some small reason for justification. And we need to give the proper reason here. So why the task is delayed. Okay, well, if the task is delayed, what are the issues we face or what are the challenges we face? Sometime we will estimate only 6 hours of work. Suppose in between the environment is not available or something is not working properly, and sometimes testing the same scenario will take a lot of time. So it may be extend to a 6 to 8 hours. So these things we need to just justify to the Scrum Master. So Scrum Master is a role, is complete, manage the process. And product owner is the guy who will get the requirement and he will prepare the product backlog, which contains the all the stories to be developed and test. And team organizes the task. The team means again dev as well as QA. So these people will organize the tasks. Okay, so this is all about agile process, the complete end-to-end agile process. Now nowadays all the companies are following this particular process. All the projects will happen in this particular process. Now what is an advantage of this particular process? So the main advantage of this particular process is customer no need to wait till the last release. So let's say customer is saying 10 requirements, let's say 3 months of time duration. He no need to wait for the 3 months of time to get the software, because we were developing and testing the software in multiple sprint. Once we completed sprint 1, we will get the first version of software, or if there are any changes he can tell us back and we can accommodate those changes in the next sprint, and we can deliver the next software next version to the customer. So customer will get releases very frequently. So that's the main advantage of agile. And customer point of view, this is very useful because you don't need to wait for the long time. And that's the one reason. The second reason is you will get the builds or software in every sprint. And the other advantages, suppose you want to change something, or if you want to if the customer want to accommodate the new changes, you can immediately communicate with the product owner, and then product owner will prioritize that particular story and we can accommodate in the next sprint. So there are main advantages of Scrum, and basically it will save a lot of time and cost of the project. And the releases will happen very faster. Releases will happen very faster. And okay, so again, as I said, every sprint we will deliver a new version of software to the customer. So once all sprints have been completed, we will release the complete software to the customer. So this is how the agile process will follow. So nowadays, every company is using this particular process. Every company, almost 90+% of the companies are using agile process. Okay. So any questions so far here on this particular topic? Any questions on this? Okay. So now by using this agile process, we will discuss a small project. Okay. And how the backlog will be, product backlog, and how the sprint planning, or what is the sprint backlog, how we need to estimate the story points and everything. So let me show you a small document here. So this is a document which is created by the product owner. Okay. So here I have taken a small project called dealmart.com. It is just like a e-commerce website. Okay. And this is normally prepared by the product owner, not by us. And here they will say over the stakeholders, customers and users here, and they will list out everything, and created by the product owner name. And let's say this is our epic. So let's see this, an example. For a new e-commerce website to launch, the highest business value will be when a new user is able to buy an item from the website. So this is the customer requirement, very high. And for this epic, the product owner is created multiple stories, user stories. Let's say they have given us 001, 002, 3, 4, and 5. And for every user story, they have given some name, feature name or title. Let's say first time visitor can make the payment as a guest user without having registration. And second user story, new user can register on the website. And the next story, register user can browse items listed. And register user can add items to the cart. And register user can make payment for the items added to the cart. So these are the few examples of stories, user stories. And every story is independent, and every story will developer will develop and tester will test it. And every this is called feature names or title of the story, but this is actual story. So whenever the product owner writes some stories, they will follow certain template or certain format. So if you observe these stories, user stories, almost seems very similar. Let's see here. They are using some keywords. So as a first time visitor, to the e-commerce website, I want to be able to buy a listed product. Why? So that I can use the product by. So why the first time visitor should able to log into the website? Because he want to buy something, and he want to be able to buy a listed product so that I can use the product I buy. So this is a user story. So what we understood based on this is, as a first time visitor to the e-commerce website, I want to be able to buy a listed product so that I can buy the product. So before buying the product, we need to list out the product, right? So this is a one story, and they are using some common keywords for every story if you observe clearly. So let's say second story. So a new user can register on website. This is a feature. And what is the story for this? As a first time visitor, okay, and to the website, I want to be able to register on the website so that I can browse and buy listed product from the website. Okay, so this is how we need to write this to user stories. We don't write these user stories. Product owner is responsible for writing these user stories. So this is the template they will follow. So for every user story, they are using this keyword. As a user, I want to do something because I will achieve so and so. Okay, so we need to do as a user, I want to do something that represent an action. Why they are performing the action? Because they want to achieve something. So these three should be part of this user story. So user stories describes who is the user, what action he has to do, and what is the outcome he will get. So those three should be part of this user story. So when I read the user story, you should get clarity on these three items. Who is the user, what action he is to perform, and what is an outcome he will get out of that action. Okay, so these are all few user stories, and they will update the status like, okay, it is a new story, or it is in progress, or it is completed story. These statuses are updated by the product owner later. And acceptance criteria. Suppose if the story is developed and tested, demo is also done, and on what basis the product owner will accept this story. Okay, so if he's accepted the story, he will mention here what is an acceptance criteria, when I need to accept this story and when I need to reject that story. So they will give some certain acceptance criteria in the last column, and this is also done by the product owner. So we are not responsible for creating this document. So just I'm going to show you as a sample document how the product backlog will look like. Okay, and then sprint planning. So in the second stage, we are doing sprint planning. What is sprint planning? We will estimate the stories and we plan the stories which were developed at particular sprint. Developer as well as QA activities we will define. So this is your project name, and this is called sprint backlog. We can say this is a sprint backlog. So project name, Scrum team. So Dev, QA, product owner, Scrum master, DevOps team. So everybody will be part of the Scrum team, and who is a creator? So product owner. And this is epic, and same story, same features, user points. But here, additionally, we need to add the story points, and on particular story on which sprint we have planned. So based upon the story points, let's say 8 is complex, 3 is a minimal, size is very less, the complexity is very less, 5 is medium, 5 is also medium. So 8 is a complex, 3 is a minimum complex, and 5 is a medium. So this is a story points estimation which is decided by the both dev as well as QA. So once we have decided these story points, Okay, so they will check the complexity. Suppose the product owner says, I want to complete 3 stories in first sprint itself. Then developers and QA said, okay, the first 2 story itself is a 8 story points. It is a very complex. So we can complete this, only we can complete this story in one sprint. So other stories we can complete in other sprints. So that is the commitment the developer and QA should give. And so this particular story is planned for one sprint, and other rest of the sprints are rest of the stories are part of second sprint, and other stories are part of the third sprint. So like this they will do the sprint planning meeting. So they will give estimation for every story, and they will plan that particular story to that particular sprint. And for every story, once this sprint planning is done, so for every story the developer will give you their own tasks, and developer QA will also create their own tasks. So normally QA task will be reviewing user stories, creating test cases, reviewing test cases, setting up environment, creating test data, executing manual test cases, automation test, automation design, automation test cases, retesting bugs, regression testing, demo to user story. So all these are tasks for the QA. So once the QA has completed all the actions, all the tasks for that particular story, then we will say story is completed from the testing point of view. And developer also should complete their own task for that particular story. And then we will say to the product owner, okay, this story is completed. All the QA tasks have been completed. All the dev tasks also completed. And then we will say to the product owner, okay, story is completed. So this is ready for demo. And once the demo is done, then product manager approved that particular demo, then the story will be closed. Okay, then we'll pick up the other stories for the next sprint. So this is how the planning will happen. So this is how the agile process will work. Okay, now in the next session I will tell you how we can do all these activities by using Jira tool. So Jira is basically used for multiple purpose. So Jira is a very popular tool currently in the market. So by using Jira we can perform a lot of activities. We can just so manage agile process, the complete agile process we can manage, because agile process management in the sense we can create backlog, we can create sprint stories, we can create the sprint, we can plan the stories for that particular sprint, we can update the statuses, we can create the task, we can update the task. So all these things whatever so far we discussed, everything we can do by using Jira tool. So that is called as a managing agile process, managing agile process. And not only this, by using Jira tool we can also write our test cases, we can also write our test cases in Jira tool. And also we can execute our test cases, execute test cases, and we can update the status, update the status of test cases, whether it is passed or failed, update the status of test cases. So managing agile process in the sense we can create backlogs, and we can create sprints. Okay, so we can create sprints, and we can create tasks, and we can update story status in Scrum board, story status in Scrum board. So all these things can be done by using agile. Along with this, especially for testing point of view, we can also write our test cases in Jira tool, and also we can execute our test cases and update the status as passed or failed. Okay, so in the tomorrow session we will see how we can do all these activities by using Jira tool. Okay, so that's all for today. I'll just stop it here. If you have any questions now, you can ask me. Okay, right. So in the previous session, we have talked about agile process. So end-to-end process of agile, and what is product backlog, what is sprint, and what is sprint planning, and what are the different people will involve in the Scrum meetings and all. So today we will see how we can use Jira tool to automate those activities. Okay, so today completely I'll focus on Jira tool. So Jira is basically agile tool. So Jira is only specifically agile management tool, and we can do a lot of activities using Jira tool, and it is basically a web-based application. Okay, so by using this Jira tool, we can do two types of activities. One is we can automate the complete agile process, like we can create a new project, we can add users to that project, and we can create a backlog, and we can add epics and stories into Jira, and we can create a sprint in the Jira, and we can also add a task to the stories, and we can track those stories, and all these things we can do by using Jira. So that is one kind of activities we can do. The other kind of activities are test management activities. So test management activities, in the sense, this is only for testing purpose. Like we can create our test cases, okay, and we can add our new test cases, and we can execute our test cases, and we can update the status whether it is passed or failed. So these kind of activities can be done by using Agile tool. So there are two kinds of activities. One is to automate entire process, means complete Agile process, complete sprint life cycle will take care of. And the other side is we can also automate test management activities. Okay, now let us see one by one how we can do from the scratch. Now normally, what is Agile? So Agile is a tool. Jira is a tool which will take care of Agile activities, each and every activity. Okay, now first of all, let's see one by one. So first let us focus on Agile Scrum activities, whatever discussed in the previous session. So how to create the backlog, and how to select the stories for the sprint, and how to create the sprint, and how to start the sprint, and how to update the story status in the sprint, and how we can move our story status, and how we can close the sprint. So all these things we will see first, and then we will move on to the test management activities. Okay, and before that, I'll show you how to install and configure Jira Tool. How to install and configure Jira Tool. And Jira is not a open source tool. Okay, it is a license based, but there are some trial versions are available, so you can just install and play with that. Okay, so I'll tell you how to install this Jira, and it's very simple, and you don't need to download anything. Okay, so the Jira is provided in the cloud environment, so you will able to access in few more days, and almost 15 to 20 days you can access, and you can practice with that. Okay, so how we need to do that, I'll just explain here. So just type Jira in your Google, so you will get a official website for Jira. So Jira official site, so just go to this particular website. Okay, so this is basically from Atlassian company. So this is a Australian company. So they have introduced this Jira software and to automate agile activities. So if you go to this product section, okay, so they have put their different kind of packages they have put here. So there are different products they are developing, but Jira software is one of the product from Atlassian company. Now let's go and click on the Jira software here, and right, so now here they are saying try it for free. So that means it's not completely free, so it will be available on the cloud environment. We can access them by using a URL, and we can practice it. Okay, that's called as a free, but not completely free. Okay, so they will provide an environment in the cloud, and then we can practice it. Now let us see how we can see. Now here they have given some amount also, right, plans. So this is not completely free, and but they have given some trials. Okay, so how we need to work with this is we can just use a trial version here. Okay, now click on this try for free. Okay, either this button or this button, any one of this button, and here this is the Jira software we are going to work. So here there is option called try cloud and try server. Okay, so this is not open source. Open source means it is free. Free means open source. Okay, so just like a Selenium is open source, that is free. We don't need to purchase any license for that. But Jira is not like that. So Jira is basically license based. So we need to purchase it. Okay, we need to purchase it. But before purchasing the product, they will provide us the trials. Okay, trial means we can just do the configuration and installation, and a few days we can use it with free of cost. But after that, the license will be expired, or the trial will be expired, and then we need to purchase the license. But for practicing purpose, okay, the trial version is enough. Okay, it will be there around 1 week to 2 weeks of time. So the trial version is enough to complete practice all the stuff. But when you're working on real-time environment, you will get the licensed software. Okay, so the people will install the licensed software. You can just access by using URL. So that's the meaning of open source. Open source means free. Okay, now Jira is not open source tool. It is a license based tool, but still they will provide a trial version to practice, right? So again, in the trial version, okay, so there are two models. They are giving two different flavors even in the trial. So one is try on the cloud, the other one is try server. So try server in the sense we have to install complete configuration in our system, and this is a little complex. So don't go for this and just try in the cloud. So when you do try in the cloud, what happens is they will set up the complete environment for us and they will provide us a link. So by using that link, we can just access Jira tool for a few days. Okay, so that is called as a cloud. So cloud is nothing but a service. So they will set up everything and make ready for us, and just we need to use it by using an URL. Okay, so that is called as a cloud. So here just you need to go to the cloud, try cloud, and it will ask you the Gmail username and password. Now if you go here, there are multiple versions. They are showing Jira Software plus documentation, Jira Software plus help desk. We don't require all these services, but Jira Software, see now from $10 per month they will charge. But currently this one is available as a trial. Okay, just we can access almost a week, 1 week to 2 weeks, but then we need to purchase this license. Okay, and now this is the first one I can select. Just if I click on the try it free, and then it will ask you some information about your email ID, your full name, first name, and everything. Here this is very important. Claim your site. So what does that mean is, here you need to give some name, because with that name it will automatically generate one URL, Jira URL. Okay, and by that URL, by using that URL, you can access Jira tool. So this is very important. So whatever name you want to give, you can just give some name. Suppose if I say ABC, your website name will be abc.atlassian.net. Okay, suppose if you give dinesh.atlassian.net, so that kind of URL it will automatically generate. So by using that URL, you can access Jira tool. Okay, this is a very important step. And you can provide your full name and last name, and this email is very important. So once you have provided your Gmail account, click on the sign up, and then they will take some time to process your request. So okay, let me just you already given this URL. So once you have provided this information, once you click on the sign up, okay, it will do some sign up process, or they will send you some email ID for verification, okay, to activate this URL. So once you click on that URL, and it will do some process, and finally it will give you some link like this. Let me just show you the link how it will be. Okay, so this is my link actually. So this is a link. So this is the name I have given to my website. So they will generate this URL and provide to you. So by using this URL, you can access your Agile tool for a few more days, or 1 week to 2 weeks, I guess. Okay, so within those particular time, you can just practice this. So this is how we need to do. This is for free, and all the setup will be done in the cloud environment itself. So once you have done this sign up process, and you will get an email alert, and once you have activated the link, they will start the processing the request. They will show you some two robots here and processing part, and just don't close the page and keep it happen for, it will take around 3 to 4 minutes, and then finally they will generate a link to you. Okay, so by using that link, okay, you can just access the Jira tool, and all the setups will be in the cloud environment. Okay, so you can log out and you can log in with the same email address, and also it will ask you the password. Normally you will use Gmail account, right? The same password they will also use it. So this is how we need to get the environment, Jira environment. So once you get this environment, you will have the link like this. Okay, and by using this link, you can access the Jira. Now let me just try to access this. This is my link. Now when I open this link, okay, it will open the Jira login screen. Okay, so I already logged in, so it is directly jump into the dashboard. So for now, what I can do is I need to just log out from this. So first time you will see the login page. Let me log out it. Okay, so I have just logged out. Okay, this is a URL you will get, right? So just open this URL. Okay, now you will get the login screen like this first time. So whatever email ID you have used at the time of sign up, so you need to give the same URL here and then click on the continue. Okay, now it will go to the dashboard page. So now I will give you my URL, my email. So with this email, I have configured my Jira. Okay, so then click on continue and it will ask you the password. You need to give the proper password, correct password, then click on the login. So once you click on the login, it will give you a dashboard page like this. Okay, so directly you will jump into the dashboard. So this is a home screen for you. Okay, so you will get some options like project, issues, Jira settings, tests, and so on. Here you can see some icons. Okay, so this is a basic home screen of Jira tool. Okay, so you can do these steps very simple, not much complex. Just go to website. So I will give you this website, direct website, direct link here. So go to this link directly and then do the sign up process. You will get a link and activate that link. And then this name is very important. As I said before, whichever name you have provided, so the link will be generated with that name. So I have given this name. So that's the reason I get URL like this. Okay. So this is a installation and configuration of Jira Tool. So just don't use a server version and all. Just go for the cloud. Okay. Right, so now this is how we need to install and configure the Eclipse. So now my environment is ready. Now let us see a few actions how we can use this Jira. And then, as I said, there are two kinds of activities we can do in the Jira. The first thing is we can do all Agile related activities. That means we can create a project, we can add the users to that particular project, and we can create a backlog, we can add the stories, and we can sprint, we can create the sprint, and we can move the stories to that particular sprint. So all these things we already discussed in the earlier session, right? So all these things, all kinds of activities we can automate by using this Jira tool. Now let us see step by step process. Okay, now I just logged into the Jira tool. This is my Jira tool. Now currently you will see the dashboard page here. So dashboard means currently I don't have any projects created in this. So currently it is completely empty. Okay. Now the first thing in Agile tool, we need to start with the creation of the project. Okay. First we need to create a project. So let's see how to create a project. So see these steps very carefully, very important. So let's see first how to create a project in Jira. How to create a project. So here, if you see the option called projects, right? If you click on this projects, now it will go to one more page. So this is empty now. So that means we don't have created any projects here. So we haven't created any project as of now. So this page is completely empty now. So now I'm going to create a new project. So click on create project. Okay, and then it will ask you name of the project here. So you need to create some name. So let us add all the projects. Yesterday we have explained one project, right? So that is dealmart.com. So this is our project. So let's give this name to our project. So this is our name of the project called dealmart. Okay, and here if you see here, this is a Scrum project. So by using this project we can we can manage stories, tasks, workflows, and everything. And if you click on this advanced tab, okay, advanced link, you will see so many other projects. If you click on the change also here, and there is so different type of projects you can create, but we don't deal with all kinds of projects. So just take a Scrum project, okay, and then select it. Now this is our project name. We are taking Scrum project by which we can automate all the activities whatever I have listed out here, and then just create. Okay. So once it is done, it will create a new project in Jira. So as soon as you created a new project, so again go to project section. See this, the project is appeared here, Dealmart software project. So for this project, by default the backlog page is displayed here. So currently we don't have any items in the backlog, and active sprint, reports, releases, issues, pages, and all these things are related to this particular project. Okay, so this is how we need to create a project. Now again, if you want to go back to the dashboard, so this is the dashboard. If you click on this small square at the corner, we will go to the dashboard page. Okay, again this is a dashboard, and if you click on these projects again, it will show you what are all current projects we have created in this Jira. So now I have created this project. So what is the project name? Deal Mart. So the same project name will appear here. Okay, so this is how we need to create a project. So suppose if you want to do certain settings on this particular project, suppose let's do the settings here. So this is a project, right? So here there are small three dots. If you click on these three dots, we can go to project settings. If you want to change something, okay, if you want to change the name of the project, okay, and if you want to change the type of the project and who is the owner for this project, if you want to assign this, you can still do it. So administrator here, project lead name will automatically populate. Okay, so these things if you want to modify, you can just go to project settings. Okay, and there is one more thing called as here key value. So what is this key automatically generated? So whatever project name we have given, so first four characters will be treated as a key. So all the test cases, bugs, epics, stories, all will be created with the prefix as this key. DEEAL is a prefix one. So with that prefix, every item will be created. So if you want to change this prefix, you can still change it here. Okay. And suppose if you want to delete the complete project, and then here you can see one option called delete project. This is the delete project. So if you click on this, it will completely remove the project. Okay, in future if you want to delete the project, you can go here and click on the delete project. And now if you go back to the project settings and click on this arrow mark, you will go back and come to the backlog section. So this is our project and these are the options available for my project. Okay, so now we have created a new project. Suppose if you want to create one more project, so again what we need to do, go to again Jira dashboard. Okay, and here you will see one option called projects. Go to this projects again, and now here click on create project. So this will create one more project. So create project, give some name, and then create button. So like this we can create any number of projects, and whatever projects we created, they are appeared under projects page here. Okay, so this is how we need to create a project. This is the first and most important activity. So once the project is created, we need to add users to this project because the team will be there. Like some of them are developers, some of them are testers and product owners, scrum master. These are all comes under the one project, right? So these are all people who are working for a project. So how we can add those users or those people to this particular project, because only those particular people should able to access our project. But when you're working on real time, so there are n number of projects will be there and n number of people working on those projects. So whoever is belongs to that particular project, only he can access only that particular project. He should not able to access other projects, right? So we need to create a user for this particular project. So as soon as we created the project, so we need to add users or people to this project. Normally these activities will do by the Scrum Master. Okay. Now, once we created this project, let us see how we can add users or people to this particular project. Now let us see. So this is our project, right? So if you want to add users, we need to go to Jira settings. Okay. So go to Jira settings, and here there is an option called user management. User management. And under user management, you can see what are all users currently we have in this particular Jira. Okay, here, and the new users we can add. Now we can observe here there are two users already there. Okay, and their email addresses and their information is already there. Suppose if you want to add a new user, then what I can do is I can just add some name here. Suppose let's say XYZ, and email ID XYZ, something, some dummy email ID I'm giving here, and give the full name and email address, and you can also add other users in the text boxes, and just click on invite users. And if I remove this, give site admin permission, means he is not an administrator. Okay, if you want to give normal permissions, you can just remove this checkbox. Okay, so now click on invite users, and then that user will be part of this particular table. Okay, now you can see it is refreshing it, and now the new user is added here. Now you can see the full name by default it is given something, and but here let's see the email address XYZ. Okay, and he is not yet logged in the tool for now. Okay, so these users are not yet logged in the tool for now. So just this status is giving us never logged in. So once these users are able to log into this particular tool, so then again the date will appear here, right? So this is how, but in the real time when you're working, as soon as you have added this user to the project, he will automatically get an email, automated email he will get. Okay, and that will give the confirmation, so whether you are added to that project or not. So that's very important thing. So how to create the users again? So again, if you go back to the dashboard page, and then you can just go back like this. So click on this small admin here. Okay, don't go to the admin, and here this is a one. So currently we are in home, so go to again Jira apps, Jira. Okay, now we'll go back to the dashboard again. Okay, this is how we need to create the users. So one more time I'll tell you here. Go to the system Jira settings and go to user management, and then here you need to add a users. Okay, so here you need to add the users. So that's how we need to add users or people in Jira. So let me just write the flow because you guys can refer this later. So how to add users or people in Jira. So where we need to go? We need to go for Jira settings. In the Jira settings, we need to go for user management. Under user management, we can add more people. So as soon as we go to user management, okay, you will see this one, this table, already existing user, and some text boxes will appear here. Just provide the full name and email address and click on invite. Fine. So this is a flow if you want to add users to a project. And before that, I will also write navigation for creating the new project. How to create the new project. So how we need to create the new project? First, we need to go to the dashboard. Okay, so first we need to go to the dashboard. So we are in the dashboard. Now here there is a projects. So from the dashboard, you can select these projects, and then it will go to from the dashboard. So here I'll write. So first we need to go to the dashboard. From the dashboard, okay, dashboard, you will see the projects here. So click on the projects. So projects, and under projects we click on the current projects will appear here. If no project is created here, just click on the create project. This is the button we have to click, create project, and then provide your project name, and then click on finish, or we can just create. Okay, that will create a new project, and the project will be appeared in the dashboard. Okay, so you can just log in any number of times. Okay, so in single system you can just log in any number of times. You can open multiple tabs, you can log in any number of times. There is no restriction for that. Okay, so trial version you can just use as per your wish, but there is a duration limitation. Mostly you can access this 1 week to 2 weeks of time. Okay, fine. So now so far we have just created a new project, and also we have added a new people to this particular project. Now we will start the agile scrum activities for now. So these are all administrator activities. Normally we don't do these things. Okay, so creating the project and all. So once we are ready with this setup, now in actual agile process will start from here. So yesterday we discussed, right, this is our project. So currently in the product backlog, I have few stories, and this is epic, and which epics contains a few user stories, right? So the first task will be, we need to create an epic in the dashboard. Okay, and epic means it contains multiple again user stories, and these epics and user stories will be part of backlog. Okay, so these epic along with the user stories will be part of backlog. So who will create this product backlog? Product owner will create the product backlog. Now let us create epic, and also I will associate few user stories to this particular epic in the product backlog. So let's see, come to the Jira. Now this is a current project, currently we are working, right? So go to this project, click on this project. Okay, now when you click on the project, by default, you will navigate to backlog page. So currently there are epics, there are no epics. If I click on this, there are no epics created. There are no versions created, and here you can create the stories. So we don't have any stories also. Okay, completely empty backlog. So just we have created only one project. So now what I will do is I will create a version number of this project, and also I will add epic to this particular project. Okay, that is the first and very initial task, right? So let's create a version first. Okay, so under versions here, you can just create a, so here create a version. There is a link called create version. Okay, so here for this project, just give some version number. Let's say I'll give some version number called deal 1.1. Okay, this is my version number, and just click on the create, and these dates and everything will be provided by product owner, so we don't bother about this. Just give some version number. Let's say give v also. Okay, deal version number 1.1. Now click on create. Now we have created version, and also I will create epics. Now go to here epics tab. So version number is ready. Now I will create epics now. So currently we don't have any epic here for this project. So I will create a new epic now. So how to create an epic? Just create epic link here. Okay, so create epic link. Now it will give you one window like this, and here you can select the project. This is our current project, and there are some issue type. This is very important portion. So in Jira, everything is considered as one issue. Suppose if you create a epic, that is a issue. And if it is story, that is also considered an issue. If it create a bug, that is a issue. Suppose if we create a test case, that is also an issue. So everything we call as an issue. So here we need to discuss about issue types in Jira. Issue types in Jira. So in Jira, there are a few kinds of issue types. One is epic is one issue, and story is one issue, and subtask or task or subtask. So these are also an issue, and bug is an also issue. Test case is also an issue, or test is an issue. So everything is called as an issue type. Okay, so here issue means it is not the defect. In Jira terminology, issue means not the defect. So issue means it can be your epic, or it can be story, or it can be subtask or task, it can be bug, or it can be test, whatever. So all comes under issue categories. Now here, how to create an epic now? Let me go back again. So here, once you go to the backlog, you will see the tabs like this, versions and epics. Okay, so go to epics tab. It will appear one box like this, and here you will see create epic link. Okay, create epic. So click on this create epic. Now it will give you one more window like this, and here this is your project name, and here it will give you issue type. So currently I have two issue types, say the task, story, and bug. Okay, now we are creating epic. So let's take epic here, and here we need to provide the epic name. Okay, what is the name of the epic here? We need to give some name and summary like this. So summary means we can give a text, some description kind of thing, but epic name should be small one. So what I can do is I will just give some epic name. So this is our epics, right? So let me just copy this text and put that into summary. Okay, and epic name I will just say deal mart underscore epic. So this is the name I am giving, and let's say 001 dealmart underscore epic underscore 001, because one project can have any number of epics. So epic is nothing but a larger requirement, and again we need to split that into multiple stories. Now here I have given some name called dealmart underscore epic underscore 001. So this is the epic I have created. Now let's give the same ID here also. So the ID of this epic is this one. Okay. Now, so once you created this name, give some description summary here, and then create. And if you want to create one more epic, just select this box, create another, and then click on the create. It will give you one more window like this. Suppose if you don't have any other epics, just don't select anything here. Just click on create button here. So once you click on create button, now it is created a new epic under the epics tab. Okay, this is a new epic. So what is the idea of this epic is we have just created, right? That is deal mart underscore epic underscore 001. So this is the ID of the epic. This is the ID of the epic. Okay, remember this. So now we have just created a new epic. We have just created a new epic for the project. So how to create a backlog? So backlog we no need to create. But as soon as you created the project, the backlog page will already appear. In this backlog, okay, we have created epic now. So under epic, we have to also add a few user stories. Okay, that's the next thing. So now we have created an epic. So for that particular epic, we have to add user stories now. Let us see how to add user stories. So how to add user story? Very simple. So this is our epic, right? Keep this one side. Now how to add user stories? Now again, here, this is our backlog page. So you can click on the backlog. So here, this is the version epics, and if you come down, here we can add user stories. Okay, so or else if you don't want to add it here, you can directly go plus here. Okay, and it will give you one more window, create an issue. Under this project, you can select the story here. By default, it will appear here. And there are two ways to create the story for this backlog. So one is we can directly go to the backlog page, and here by default there is option. Here you can just directly write the story, or we can go click on the button here, create an issue, and here select the story in the drop down and give the summary of the story and other details of the story. And while creating the story, you can also select the epic on for which epic you are creating this particular story. Okay, and then create. So this is a flow. So what I can do is for this backlog, so in this backlog I will also add a few stories. So currently where we have just created the epic, and all the stories we can link to that epic later. For now, okay, for now I'm creating user stories. Let's see how we can create a user stories. Here I will write, just a moment. So creating user stories. Creating user stories. So how to create the user stories? So first we need to in the backlog page. Okay, from the backlog page. So from the backlog page. So here we can directly click on the create issue here, or else click on the plus button here. Okay, so just click on the plus button, and here as soon as you click on the plus button, it will open up one window like this. Here you need to, by default it is select a story. Okay, so we no need to select, or if it is not selected story, just you need to go and select the story from this drop down. And here we need to provide summary of your story. So let's write a few stories here, because we already have the stories, right? So I'll consider this feature or title as a story title. Okay, story. So let's copy this and paste it in the summary. And what could be the description? So whatever user story description we have here, so let's copy that description here. And also you can give the story ID before here, and Jira will create automatically their own ID. But if you want to still refer with this ID, you can just give like this. Okay, and then this is how we need to create the story. Provide the summary of the story, provide the description, and these all are not required. If you want to select the project version, you can select it, and what's the priority of this story, and if there is any document which is talking about this story, we can attach those documents here. Okay, and very important things. So who is the owner for the story? So we need to assign the user. So whoever users we have already added to the Jira will be populated here. But when you working on real time, so the project team, right, they are already part of this project, right? So the team email IDs you will see here. So we can just select who is the owner for this particular story. And then this is very important, for what epic we are creating this story. So that epic link we have to select. If you click on the drop down, it will list out what are all epics we already created. Okay, so currently we have only one epic created, so it is populating here. Now select this epic. Now this story is associated with this epic now. And sprint. So currently we haven't planned this story for any the sprint, so that just leave this sprint as it is empty. Later we will add this story to the print. Now click on the create, and if you want to create one more story like this, select this checkbox and click on the create. Okay. Now we have few more stories, right? I will also add them. So now first one story is added here. And now I will create one more story now. So go to Excel file. Let's get another story. This is the title of the first story. Now specify the story name. And if you want to give the ID US002, you can just specify that in the bracket. Now give the description of the story. So this is our description of the story. This is our description of the story. Again, same version, medium, and assignment is also same. Assigner user is also same. Owner is same. And again, epic automatically selected. Now click on create and select this checkbox. So if you want to create one more story, okay. So click on create. Now again, it will open new screen. Now this is a story which is already created now. So now I'm going to create another story. So again, go to Excel file and now take the third story. And this job is normally done by the product owner itself. Okay, so test engineers don't involve in these activities. These are the activities done by the product owner. So go to Jira Tool again. Okay, specify the summary of the story, and this is the story ID. For reference, we can just have it, but normally the IDs will be created by the Jira itself by default. And now this is the description of the story. Go here and specify the description. Now again, same fields are populating here. Don't select the sprint. Okay, later we will add the story to the sprint. Now click on create. So far we have added 3 stories, right? So I will also add 2 more stories. Let's go to this story and go to Jira and put the summary and then copy the description. And again, same fields, create. And now I will create the last story. Go here, summary, and we can give the ID for this. And now the description, copy the description and put it here. And then, so at the last story, we don't have any more stories, just you can remove the checkbox, okay? And then click on the create. Now, once the stories have been created, now you can see here, all the stories are part of this particular backlog. So now 5 stories I have created. So 5 stories are appeared under this backlog. Okay, so for a one epic, we have created these many stories. Right, so this is how we need to create the user stories. So how to create? Go to the backlog and click on the plus button here. Now it will give you this window here. Select the project, select the issue type as a story, provide the information and click on the create. So plus icon and create story by selecting story as an issue. Okay, so what does that mean is, as soon as you click on the plus button, it will create a create issue menu will happen, will appear. Here we need to select the story. Don't forget this. Okay, then only it will become the story. Otherwise, it will be considered as a different item. Okay, so this is the navigation we need to do if you want to create the story. And a very important thing, whenever you are creating the stories, don't forget to link the epic here. Okay, if you click on this drop down box, it will give you the epic. So we need to associate all the stories to this particular epic. Okay. So now currently we have 5 different stories we have created under one epic. So till here the job is done by the product owner. Okay. Creating the backlog is completely responsible of responsibilities taken care by the product owner. Remember this. Okay. Now we have achieved these steps for now. So first, these 3 activities are done by the administrators, okay, and creating the epics and stories done by the product owner, and then creating the sprint, adding stories to the sprint, and taken care by the Scrum Master. Okay, there are multiple roles will be there. So all these people are part of Jira. Okay, everyone is able to access all the stuff from the Jira. So creating the project, creating the users are taken care by the admin people, and creating the epics and user stories will be taken care by the product owner, and creating the sprints will be taken care by the Scrum Master. Adding stories and everything starting sprint will be taken care by the Scrum Master, and adding subtasks, creating the bugs and everything will taken care by the testers as well as developers. So multiple people will involved in this. Okay. Now, so we have so far created one epic. Under this, we have 5 stories we have created. So what is the next step in agile process? As soon as we have backlog which contains some stories, we need to start a print. So we need to plan stories for a print. So let's say sprint planning meeting, they have decided. So now we have a sprint planning tab right here. So currently I have 5 stories and they have estimated, they have given some story points to that particular stories, right? So these story points also we can add these stories in Jira itself. If you observe here, these are the stories, right? So if I click on this particular story, okay, and the details will be appeared here. Okay, this is a story description and these story details will be appear here. And if you observe here, there is a one field called story point estimate here at the corner. So story point estimate, we have just added the stories, but we haven't updated the story point for them, right? So in the during sprint planning meeting, we already added the story points, effort estimation. The same story points we have to update here under story estimation. Okay, let's say first story. So this is the first story. What we estimation we have given 8 is the estimation. So here we need to just give 8. Okay, and that is a story point estimation. And similarly, let's take another story, click on the next story, and for the second story, what is the estimation we have given? 3 as a story point. Now come here and update 3 as a story point and click on the right mark. And similarly select one more story. Okay, and third story we have given 5 is a story point. Now go here and update 5 here and click on tick mark. And similarly, fourth story I have given 5 is a story point. Now update 5 here and click on the tick mark. And the last story I have given 8 is a story point. Now go to select the last story and come here. Just give the 8 is a story point and tick mark. So now also I have updated story point estimates for each story. Okay, this is also done. So in agile process, as soon as backlog is ready, stories are ready, and then we need to plan sprint. Okay, so sprint planning in means what are the activities we do in the sprint planning? We will estimate the stories. So we already given the estimation for these stories. What is the second activity? We need to plan what are all stories will be part of the sprint. Okay, let's say sprint is having 2 weeks of time. So the complete project is divided into multiple sprint. Every sprint is having 2 weeks of time. Okay, do you guys remember? So yesterday class we have discussed. So the complete project is divided into multiple sprint and every sprint is having 2 weeks of time. Let's say here I have 5 stories currently. Okay, 5 stories I have, user stories. Now the complete project, let's say 3 months of time. So in the 3 months of time, I will divide each sprint into 2 weeks of time. So this is a 2 weeks, this is a 2 weeks, and this is a 2 weeks. Now from this 5 story points, how many stories I can accommodate in the first sprint? So those stories we need to add to this particular sprint. So before adding it, first we need to create the sprint. Okay, first we need to create the sprint. Then we need to add stories to that particular sprint, and then we can start the sprint. Okay, then we have to start the sprint. So let us see how we can do that. So the first activity is we need to create a sprint in Jira, and let's see how to add user stories to the sprint, and then we will start the sprint. So these are the activities we do now. So let's go here. Creating sprint in Jira, adding user stories to the sprint, and starting sprint. So this activity normally done by the Scrum Master. Now let's go here. So stories are ready, but we haven't created in sprint for now, right? So now if you want to create the sprint, again go to backlog page and you will see a button called create sprint. Okay, create sprint, where it is available under backlog. So under backlog, create sprint. Okay, now as soon as I created the sprint, click on the create, it will give you some name here. So deal sprint 1, this is the name of the sprint. This is a name of the sprint and it will give you some empty box here. Empty box means we haven't added any stories to this particular sprint. So currently just whenever I click on the create sprint, it is created the new sprint. And currently it is empty. because we haven't added any stories for this. We haven't planned any stories in this particular sprint. Okay, we need to add it now. So how to create the sprint now? How to create sprint? So just go to backlog page, and there will be some page. So go to backlog. Okay, now you will see the button here. So because we already created the sprint, right? So that button is not appear, or else we can see this button, create sprint. So create sprint button, create sprint. Okay, and this is a flow. So once we created the sprint, this will give you the name of the sprint, and this is completely empty. So currently we haven't planned any story for this particular sprint. Suppose if you want to change the name of the sprint, you can still change it. This is a default name Jira is given to this particular sprint. But if you want to change the name of the sprint, you can just click on three dots, okay, and edit sprint, and you can just change the name of the sprint. So this will automatically appear. So let's say have the same thing, because this is a name representing the project name and sprint one. So this is by default given name by Jira Tool. Click on the cancel. So now the sprint is created, but we haven't added any story for this particular sprint. Now what is the next step? We need to add stories to the sprint, because we have to plan it, right? So now here in the table, so few stories I have planned in the first sprint, and few more stories I have planned in the second sprint, and few stories I have planned in the third sprint. Now let us start with the first phase. Let us assume first two stories I have added to the first sprint. So first two stories will be part of the first sprint. So this is decided by the all the team during sprint planning meeting. So now first two stories will be part of the sprint one. So what you need to do now? Go to Jira. What are the first two stories? First two, right? Let's drag like this. Drag and drop it here. So now this story is part of sprint one. And similarly, I will drag one more story, and again this will be part of sprint one. Just drag and drop it. Okay. Now these two stories will be part of sprint one. So we will think other stories in the next sprint. We will see that later. But for now, the first two stories are part of the sprint one. So now we have added it. So uh, how to add stories to the sprint? Just we need to drag and drop. So in the dashboard page or backlog page, so all the stories will be appear in the backlog, and sprint will be appear in the top. So just we need to drag and drop it here. Okay. So now we have added all the stories, and we have all planned two stories for the first sprint. Okay. So what is the next activity we need to do? We have to start the sprint. So how to start the sprint? We need to click on this button. So start sprint. Click on the start sprint, and here this is the name of the sprint name. How much duration of the sprint? Minimum 2 weeks. Okay, 1 week sprint will not be there always, so they have given options, but minimum 2 to 3 weeks, not more than that. So by default 2 is selected, and this is the starting date. So today the sprint will start, and because we said 2 weeks, we don't specify the date. Or if you want to specify more number of weeks or days, we can just specify the start date and end date here. And so here, what is the sprint goal? So what is the sprint goal here? So we need to complete first two stories at the end of the sprint. So this is the goal of the sprint. Okay, first two stories we have to complete. So what are the two stories? This is the one, and this is the second story. So these are the two stories we have to complete at the end of this particular sprint. Now once we have provided required information, then click on the start button. So whenever I click on the start button, the sprint will start. And here, this is again sprint dashboard. This is, we can say Scrum board, or you can also say sprint dashboard. So here it will clearly says, so what is the status of the story? So now currently two stories we have added to the sprint one, and which are to do. To do means yet to complete, yet to start. So once their stories are in progress, will be part of this particular box. And we need to move these stories one after another. So based upon the status. Okay. Now we have done adding stories to the sprint, and also we have started the sprint. So now sprint is in progress. So what is the next thing? For every story, there will be some tasks. So developer will add few tasks, and QA side also they do some tasks, right? So for each story, so some different people will work on one story. So let's say if you have one story, for that particular story, what are the developer activities? What the developer will do? Developer will design it, will code it, they will perform unit testing, and they will create the build. So all these things done by the developer. And what tester will do for the same story? They will create test scenarios, they will create the test cases, they will review the test cases, right? And they will do the execution part, they will report the bugs. All these things are done by the tester for the same story. Now we need to add tasks to these particular stories. So once we have added them into sprint, once the sprint is started, we have to add tasks for these two stories. And developer will add their own tasks for that particular story, and tester should add the testing stories. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll just take this where we can see this sprint dashboard. Very simple, active sprint. So if you go to the dashboard here, backlog we know, right? If you click on the active sprints, it will give you this board. This is currently progress. Okay, this is the active sprint. We are in first sprint now. So in this sprint, currently we have planned only two stories, and which will be part of in to-do list. Now the next thing is the team should add task to these particular stories. So how the team will add task to these stories? So let's see how we can add. So here just click on this story. Okay, click on this story here, and it will give you one window like this. So it will give you all the details about the story here. And here there is an option called here create subtask. This is a tick mark. Okay, so we need to click on this link, create subtask. Now here we need to write the task. So for this particular story, so as a tester, I need to add my activities. What are my tasks? I need to first add test or create test cases. Okay, and create. And one more task. What is the next task we need to do? Create, or once we have created the test cases, we need to review them, right? Review test cases. And this is the one task. And what is the next task? We need to execute test cases. This is another task. And what is another task? Suppose if you raise any bugs, we need to retest them, right? So we can create one more task for retesting and regression testing. Let's create this task, regression testing, and create. And bug reporting is also one task. It will also take some time, right, to report the bugs. So bug reporting. So this is also one more task. Just create. So these are the tasks we have to create by the tester. And same way, developer also will do that. So let me just close this now. So currently see now, all the tasks are part of this particular story. So for this particular story, I need to complete all these tasks. And developer also will add their own task for the same story. So again, he will click on the task story here, and now he will add their own tasks. So here again, he will click on the tick mark here, subtask, and here they will add developer task. What developer task will be done? So developer will just do the design part. Okay, so designing. Okay, designing part, or this is a dev task, right? So I'll just say a dev hyphen. Okay, designing they will do, and what they will do, they will again implement the code, and what they will do again, they will do the unit testing. And also they will create the build for us, create build or builds. So these are all activities by the developer. So everybody who are responsible for this particular story, they will create their own tasks. So once it is done, close this. Now we can see for the first story, I have created all the tasks. So now once we have refresh here, you will see all the activities. So for this particular story, so 9 subtasks we have. So for this story, we have 9 subtasks. So few of them are QA activities and a few of them are developer activities. So now each and individual is responsible for this task. So just I have created the task, but who is the owner for this task, right? We need to also update this. So just click on this task, create the test cases. And here we need to also assign this task to somebody else. Suppose if you are as a lead, you need to assign this task. So we will create the test cases here assigning. Suppose myself is creating the test cases. So I'm just select assign to me. Okay, and close this. And the test cases, we will create the test cases. Again, I'll assign to me. Close this. And test cases, executing test cases. We will execute the test cases. Again, I will assign this task to me. And similarly, all the QA tasks will be owned by somebody else. So we can just select the user like this. Scrum Master will do all these things. Okay. And creation of the task we do, but automatically, but in the real time, the users will log in, right? So whoever is logging to the Jira, automatically the name will appear here. So I have selected the users for these tasks. And who is the developer? Developer is done by developing activities are done by the developers. Now here I will select one more user. Let us say here John ABC, right? So let's think he is the developer. So select the developer name and code. So we'll implement the code again developer. So select the developer name. And like this, every activity or every task we need to assign to somebody else like this. So everybody is responsible for this. So he is the guy responsible to complete this particular task. Okay. So whoever is assigned the user, so that user is responsible for complete this task. So when we will say whether the story is completed, now once we completed all the QA and dev activities, then we will say this story is completed. Until unless we should not move this to the done state. Okay. So for one story, I have created all the QA tasks and also developer tasks. Okay. So similarly for the second story also we do the same thing. Second story also we do the same thing. So let me also do some activities here. Let's select the second story. Now here I will add two tasks. Okay. One is QA testing. Okay. And also I will add one more task called development. Okay. So just I am adding only two tasks. And then for first task, I will make a user. So let me just close this. Okay, for second story, I have created only two tasks. Okay, so the first task I will assign to myself, and the second task is responsible for the developer. So I will take the developer here and close this. Okay, so now as soon as I have added the stories to the sprint, now I have added all the developer tasks and QA tasks for both the stories. Okay, now once I have done this, the sprint is started now. The sprint is started now. So every day, what are the tasks are assigned to the somebody, and they have to take care of their own tasks. And once they are progressing these tasks, and once they are completing this task, slowly they have to move their task into in progress state. Suppose developer is there. So for example, task will start from the developer, right? So developer doing the designing phase. Okay. So what they will do is they will move their task to the in progress. This is called sprint life cycle. Okay. So developer is started doing designing part. So they will move this task into in progress for the first story. And as a QA, I am preparing the test cases now. Okay. So I am moving this task to the in progress. So currently how many tasks are to do list and how many are in progress. So these and all monitored by the Scrum Master. Okay, these things are monitored by the Scrum Master every day, 15 minutes of meeting. That is called as a sprint stand-up meeting, Scrum meeting. Okay, we discussed it in the previous session, right? So every day, the Scrum Master will conduct 10 to 15 minutes of meeting. So everybody in the team should tell their status. Okay, they are in to-do list or it is in progress, how much they have progressed, all these things they have to update. And similarly, everybody will progress this task, and as soon as they have completed, they'll slowly move into the in progress. From there, it will move to the done state. So for example, as a developer, so they are designing it. So suppose design is completed. So they will move this task to the done state. Okay. And they will start coding now. So coding is in progress. Okay. After that, they have completed the coding. And then unit testing. So they will progressing in unit testing and then they have completed. So they will move like this. Okay. Now developer creating the builds in progress state. And after that, they will move to the done state. Okay, so before the developer is doing these activities, so we will prepare the test cases. We need to review the test cases. We don't execute them. We have to just review the test cases. Creating the test cases, review the test cases. As soon as the dev build creating the builds, created the builds, we need to start executing your test cases. So execution and retesting, regression testing will be part of your progress state. Okay, and similarly we will also move other. So let's say here QA testing, this is the second story, right? So let's talking about first story now. So for the first story, whatever task I have created, I almost move to in progress state and done state. So developer activities are completed. Now we are progressing in QA activities. So all the QA tasks in progress state. Suppose test cases have been completed, created, and reviewed by the team, then move them into the completed state. Okay, so now we are executing the test cases and we are doing retesting and regression testing. We are doing the bug reporting. Suppose whenever we doing some testing, if you found some defect or if you found some bugs, so how to report them? So here itself, we have to create one more bug task. So how to do the reporting bugs? Now I will show you. So while executing our test cases, I found some defect here. So how to create the bug now? Here we have to use this plus. Create an issue. Okay, so here instead of story, we have to take a bug. We have to take a bug. Under same project, we are creating the bug. So here specify the information. So what is the information I am giving here is user, okay, not able to list the item in page. So this is my bug. So this is a description I have given. So title, description we will give, and take that version number of project, and let's say priority. And here Jira Prospective we don't have CVRT. So priority will be considered as a CVRT. Okay, so just give highest or high, low or lowest, whichever is appropriate. Let's say I'll take a high here. And environment, in which environment you have executed this test case. So let us say a Windows environment. And if you have any screenshots for this bug, you can just attach those screenshots here. Okay, by clicking on browse, you can just attach the screenshots. And other information relevant, if it relevant is just add it, otherwise not required. And these bugs we need to assign to the developer, right? So here under assignee we have to select the developer name. So he is the developer, has to fix this. So select the developer name, and on what epic we have created this. This is the epic. And on which sprint we have created this bug, we need to also select the sprint. So deal sprint 1. Okay, this is a sprint we have created. Select the sprint and now create. So this will create a new bug, and this bug is part of again to-do list. It will automatically comes in the same sprint as a next issue. So stories we have, for those stories we have created the tasks, and whichever bug is reported, that bug is also part of the to-do list, because once the developer fix it, then we have to re-verify this bug, and we again need to move this bug in progress and close the status. Later we have to do that. See now, as soon as we found some bug during testing, we can just report that bug like this. Okay, so this is called bug reporting process. Now let us see, executed test cases have been completed, and also retesting, regression testing is completed, and bug reporting is also done. And finally, this bug is also, just a moment. Yeah, everything is moved to done state, right? For story 1, all the dev activities and all the QA activities, everything is moved to the done state. And what else? We have reported one issue, right? So regarding first story, let us say developer is also fixed this one and come to the in progress state, verified. Now go to the done state, then automatically it will close. So now first story, all tasks have been completed and moved to the done state, and whatever bugs we reported for the first story also completed, verified, and then move to the done state. Okay, and now this says like story is completed. So once the all activities are completed and move to the done state, then the story is completed. And then we need to, okay, this story is completed now. So story completion means whatever task we have created under this particular story should be completed. So that's the meaning of completion. Okay, Now come back to the second story. So QA testing is in progress, we put that into progress. And development is in also in progress, we can put that into progress. Later development is completed, they will move to the done state. And testing is also completed, we will move to the done state. So with this, we have done all the stuff. Okay, so we have moved everything into done state now. Story 2 is tasks have been completed, and story 2, both the stories we have completed and moved every task into done state. Okay, so 2 stories have been completed now. So once we have completed, okay, so we can also, I think we can also move these stories. Let me verify. Yeah. So I have just maximize and minimize this one. You can just expand and we can just compress. Okay. So these stories also we can just move. I think we cannot move the stories. Okay, fine. So all the tasks have been completed all for these 2 stories in sprint 1. Okay, so what we need to do now? Once all the tasks have been completed, all the bugs are verified, everything is done, that means story is completed. So we need to complete the sprint. So once all the stories and tasks have been completed, we need to complete the sprint. For example, in the story 2, okay, so there are some task is not completed. Let us say still testing in progress. Let us say for story number 2, the testing is not completed or some task is not completed, but the sprint time is completed. Sprint duration is finished, but by the time we are not able to complete our testing here. So what we need to do now, before complete sprint, before closing the sprint, it will give you a message like this. What is the message it is giving? One issue was done, 2 issues were incomplete. 2 issues were incomplete, one of which had all its subtasks complete. So here there is saying 2 issues were incomplete, 1 issue is one done. What is that 1 issue is done? Story 2 is done. And story 3 is not done because in the story we have a task QA testing, right? So that is not yet completed. So that's the reason before going to complete the sprint, it is giving this message, and it is also giving the suggestion. Select where all incomplete issues should be moved. Suppose if there are items which are incomplete during the sprint, we need to move those items to again backlog. Okay, again we need to go back to we need to send those stories or tasks to the backlog, and again we will plan them in the next sprint. Okay, that's how the process will go. So what I can do is, for now I'm just, this is also I moved to the complete state. Okay, so everything is done now. So now we can see all subtasks for parent issue deal 3 are now done. So do you want to update this parent issue to match? Yes. And then finally everything is updated. Now once the sprint all tasks have been completed, duration is also completed, and then we need to close the sprint. So how to close the sprint? Go to active sprint. Before that, we need to verify. So these are all activities done by the Scrum Master. So whether all tasks have been completed or not, is there anything pending or not, why it is pending, or if anything is pending, they will move to the backlog again. So these tasks are normally done by the Scrum Master. Okay. So our job is we need to tell only the status part. So what are our tasks, how we are progressing, what are all things we have completed, what are all things still pending, and when we are going to plan it. All these things we have to update as a status. But Scrum Master will take care of all these things, whether we need to continue, but there is no chance to expand the sprint. Okay, expansion of sprint is will give you wrong result. Okay, that is not a traditional way of doing agile. So once we fix the agile, once we fix the sprint duration 2 weeks, that is fixed. If something is missed or something is not yet completed during that particular time, will be again moved to the backlog, and again we will plan it for the next sprint. Okay, so sprint 1 is completed now. Let's click on complete sprint. Okay, and then if there is anything pending, which will move to the backlog, or else it will complete. So now sprint is successfully completed. So once the sprint is completed successfully, you can see sprint report. So this sprint report is normally analyzed by Scrum Master and other management team. So this will say the exact uh, performance of the team. Okay, how much we planned, how much time the team is taken, okay, how much time is extra they have taken. So these kind of metrics they will get based on this particular report. Now you can see here how many completed issues we have done. So these two issues we have completed. One is story, one is the bug, done. And issues not completed. There is one story still not completed. I think, yeah, I think this is first time can make payment guest user without. This is the first story. I think we haven't completed this. Okay, still it is in to-do list, right? So we have to also move this. Otherwise, it will go to the backlog. And here there are multiple velocities chart. Okay, these are all reports, like epic report, epic burn down charts. These are all analyzed by the team, by the scrum master and management. So we don't bother about this. Okay, so with this we have completed one sprint life cycle. This is all sprint life cycle. So creating sprint in Jira, adding stories into Jira, starting the sprint, adding subtasks to the stories, and as soon as we completed the stories, we just move to the in progress state. From there, we need to move to the done state, will be part of sprint life cycle. And also during the sprint life cycle itself, if you found any defects, we will able to report the bugs. And again, those bugs will be part of the sprint, and we'll verify it and fix those bugs and move to the done state, because bug is also a kind of a issue. So these are all comes under the sprint activities. So with this, we have completed one sprint. And similar way, again, the next sprint planning will happen and they will create one more sprint. Again, rest of the stories will be added to that particular screen and same process will follow. Okay. So that is how we need to do sprint planning. So creating the sprint in Jira, adding user stories, starting sprint, adding subtasks. Okay. So we need to move the stories to different states in progress and done, and creating the bugs. So these are all comes under Agile or Scrum activities. Okay, so this is and in this process, product owner will be involved, and the Scrum Master will involved, and team is also involved. So everybody should be part of these activities. Okay, so guys, clear so far? So please confirm on the chat window. Then I'll move on to the next activities. Okay, so now let's move on to the test management activity. So the tester is main role here. So tester will be played very important role in this particular scope. So test management activities. So in Jira, what are the different test management activities we'll do? What are the test management activities? Creating the test cases, creating the test cycles, and update the test cases either passed or failed. Okay, if the test case is failed, we can report the bugs. So we already seen that. So now let us see how we can do these activities by using Jira tool. So normally by default, Jira will not provide you test management activities feature. Okay. So if you want to get that particular feature, we have to add Zephyr plugin. So this is one more plugin is available for Jira. So we need to install this plugin and then we will get these features, test management activities feature. So now I will tell you how we can do that. Okay. It's very simple. So this is the name of the plugin. Okay, so if you want to do this is the first thing we need to do. If you want to do this, let's go to Jira. Okay, I'm going back to the Jira again, dashboard page. So I'm now moving to test management activity. So I'll show you how to create the test cases and all, how to update the test cases, right? So here in Jira software, right? So here, go to Jira settings. Okay, go to Jira settings. Under Jira settings, you will say add-ons. Add-ons are plugins. Okay, so click on these add-ons, and when you click on the add-ons, here you can see find new add-ons, and here in the find new add-ons, you need to search for that add-on. So what is the add-on name is Zephyr. Zephyr is the add-on name. So when you click on the search here, so it will give you, it will list out this plugin here. This is a plugin. So Zephyr for Jira test management. So by using this plugin, we will get a few more features in Jira. So by using those features, we can do the test management activities. Okay. So, but I already have this add-in, so that's the reason it is giving only manage button. But in your case, it will give you free trial button. Okay. So other add-ons we have right here. So for other add-ons, how it is displaying like this free trial, right? Similar way, you will also get free trial button here. Okay. So remember this. There are all icons will be the same here, but you need to exactly search for test management. So G5 test management. So here there is one more thing is also available, right? Okay, let me just go back. Just a second. Okay, I'm not recording. Okay, so like this, there is also another plugin is displayed here, right? Zephyr Enterprise Platform. So we should not go for other ones. So just make sure you have installed test management. Zephyr for Jira test management. This is very important. Okay, so if you want to do the test management activities, the prerequisite is you have to install this Zephyr plugin. So how to install it? This is a flow. Okay, this is the prerequisites. These are the prerequisites. So go to Jira settings, go to add-ons and search for Zephyr plugin and then click on free trial install. Okay, then automatically the plugin will be installed. And then onwards, you will see a new option in your Jira. So what is the new option you will get is you will get go to again dashboard. Okay, so in the dashboard you will see a new option called as test. So this is the option you will see. Okay, otherwise you won't get this one. Okay, fine. So that's the one prerequisite we have to do, and the other one is suppose if you want to create a test case. Let's see how to create the test case now. So once we have installed this Jira Sapphire plugin, okay, so now I'll show you how to create the test cases. So we have already installed Zephyr plugin, right? So now I need to show you how to create the test cases. So very simple. Test case is also a kind of an issue in Jira. Okay, so we need to click on this plus button, create an issue, right? So as soon as you create an issue, here this is your project name. In this list, the test option should appear here, but it is not appearing here. We have installed the plugin, right? But still it is not comes under this list. It's giving only story, epic and task and bug. But other than this, we should also have test here. But even though if your install plugin, by default, it will not be printed here or it will not be displayed here. We need to do one more setup. So I'll do that. See this. Let me cancel it. So once we have added this plugin, so here, so test management activities. So once we have added this plugin, this is the first thing. And the second thing we have to do one more setup. So the second setup is we need to go Jira, okay, and go to the projects first. So go to the project and this is our project, right? Now select this project, click on this link, select our project and go to your project settings, not Jira settings. Okay, you need to go to project settings. So here, not here, this is the report part. So sorry. So here you will see project settings. This is an option. Okay, and there are two types of settings. Remember this. One is Jira settings. You can see at the beginning in the dashboard page, you can see Jira settings. Not here. So you need to go to the projects, and here you can see what are the different projects we can see. Go to the click on the projects. Okay, now it displayed your project, right? Now click on this project. Click on this project. Now once you click on the project, you will see all these options for this project. Okay, now here you will see project settings. So go to project settings, go to project settings, and these are the project settings, right? So we can change the name and all these things we can do here. But along with this, under project settings, you will see one option called issue types. Issue types. Okay, so you need to come to the issue types. Issue types. Now here if you observe, so what are all issue types we have in Jira? Story, bug, epic, task and subtask. But here we haven't have test issue type. Okay, So we need to add that test issue type to this particular project. So how to add it? Again, go to actions and edit issue types, and here you can see. So currently my project is giving all these type of issues: task, subtask, story, bug, and epic. But we don't have a test issue. So we need to drag and drop here. This is a small configuration we have to do. Why we are doing all this because in the drop down box, along with these issue types, I should also get the test type. So that's the reason I'm doing this configuration. So once you drag and drop here, then click on the save. Okay, so this is a setup you have to do. So let me just write the navigation here in the notepad. So adding issue type test. So how to add this? So this is how we need to add. Go to select project, go to project settings, go to issue types, go to actions, edit issue type, and drag test type. Okay, that's how we need to do. So go here again. Now if you go back here, you can see test here. So in this list, you will see the test here. Now go to the project settings again, go back. Okay, once you have done, just go back and go back to your dashboard. Okay, this is the page. Okay, this is your project, and go back to your backlog, right? So now let us create a test case. So how to create the test case? Again, we need to take this plus button. So click on the plus button. Now we can see clearly in this drop down box, you will see one more option called test. Along with the other issue types, you can also see test. So if you want to create the test case, you have to select this option, select. Okay. Now here we need to write the test case summary. So let's have few test cases here. So for the same project, I have created two test cases. So let's create these two test cases. Okay. So title will be like this. So let's copy the title. Okay. This is the title. And here I will give the description. So let's say this is your description of your test case, not this one. Steps. So not steps, description. So copy the description here. Steps we will add it before in the below. Okay. So these are the description of your test case. And here fixed version, you can just create the version number, priority of the test case. And if you have any reference documents or use cases document, you can just add it here. And who is creating the test case? Just select the name. And for what epic you are creating the test case, select the epic. Now don't select any sprint for now, just create. Okay. Now I have created one test case will appear along with the stories in the backlog. Test case is also part of the backlog. Remember this. And now we need to update the steps. So how to update the steps? So again, click on this test case. Okay. Or okay. So again, click on this test case, or else you can just open this test case in the new tab. Just a moment, guys. Okay. So this is your test case. Okay, right. So once you click on the test case, there is a checkbox here. Not this one. 1 minute. Okay, so we cannot add anything here. Just we created the test case. Now we need to update the steps. So if you want to update that steps, so we need to create this test option. So here this is an option. Go to the test. Okay. So under the test, it will show you how many tests have been created. So currently only one test case we have created, right? So go to total tests here, and it will show you what are the test cases we have created currently. So currently we have only one test case created, right? So now along with this, if you want to create one more test case where I can create again, so here whenever I select this test case, it will show you the steps here, right? So we have updated other information, but we haven't added the steps here. So now I will add the steps also. So these are the steps. Copy the steps and put it over. If there is any test data required, here you can specify, or else not required. So here we need to specify the test data. And what is an expected result? This is your expected result. Okay, this is, or you can add multiple steps. You can click on the add button. It will add multiple steps also, because in one step itself I have added everything. Okay, this we don't require. So once we have done this, okay, and automatically this will save. Just refresh it. Okay, one test case is created with the steps. Now I will create one more test case. So click on the plus button here. and select the test type. Okay, now I will add one more test case. Go to your Excel, and this is your title of your test case. Create it and type the description of your test case. Normally user story we will add as a description. Now fixed version, so the version number of the project, and then assign to me, and then sprint don't select for now, so later you can plan it, and epic link we can select. So on which epic for we are creating this test case. Now we have done, just click on the create. Now it is created one more test case, right? So again, if you refresh this particular page, you will get one more. Click on the search here. So now you can see one more test case is created. So for this test case, I need to add the steps now. So select this test case. So description is appeared, other details are appeared, but steps we have to add it here. So now I will add the steps here. So select the steps, copy here, and here the test data, and what is an expected result? This is our expected result. Just put expected result. Okay, once we have done this, click on add. Now test case is added. So these are the two test cases just now we have created. Fine. So this is how we need to add the new test cases for this particular project. So where we can see all the test cases in one list, you can see here. So go to your test in the dashboard projects, right here, click on the test, and it will show you in the test management. It will show you all the things like search text, create the test. Here also you can use this option, create test, or you can create the test case by using plus button. Okay, both are same. And search test, if you click on the search test, it will go this particular tab, and here it will show you all the test cases whatever I created. Okay, so currently I have two test cases created. So now let us see, if you want to execute those test cases, we have to create a test cycle. So now we have done creating the test cases, but if you want to update, or if you want to execute these test cases, if you want to update the status, we have to create the test cycle, and then we need to add these test cases to the cycle, and then we need to execute. This is a step. Okay, so first we need to make ready all the test cases. Okay, let's say tc1, tc2, tc3, and so on. And once ready with all the test cases, we have to create the test cycle. As per the Jira, this is the process. Okay, and we need to add every test case to this particular test cycle, and this test cycle can be ad hoc, or sometimes it will be regression cycle, sometimes it will be functional testing, and sometimes it will be retesting. So based upon your condition or criteria, you can just create one cycle, add all the test cases, and then manually execute all the test cases, then update the statuses. So now the next step is, I will create a test cycle now. Let's go to Jira again. So currently I have two test cases. Okay, now how to create the test cycle? Again, we'll go back here under test. So here we need to create the test cycle. So we have done these two. Under test management, we have done create testing, right? So now we need to plan test cycle. So plan test cycle. So click on plan test cycle. Click on plan test cycle. So now here it will give you, we need to add the cycle here. Okay, so by default it will give you ad hoc cycle by default. So under ad hoc we don't have any test cases planned for now. Okay, so this is unscheduled. So what I can do is, I will add a few test cases to this particular cycle, or if you want to create another cycle, you can just click on the create new cycle. Okay, and give some name. After ad hoc testing, I want to perform functional testing. So let's say functional testing cycle, and give some name. Okay, and then click on the save. So we can create as many as cycles we want. And if you want to start executing this cycle, we have to add these test cases to this cycle. So how to add them? So click on this cycle now, functional testing, and we need to add all the test cases to this particular cycle. So currently there are no tests found matching with this request. So currently we haven't added any test cases to this particular cycle. So now we need to add. Okay, So how we can add it? So let's go to again search test. So these are the two test cases which we need to plan for functional testing, right? So how we can plan it? So first select the first test case here. So here there is a button called add to test cycles. Add to test cycles. So click on this one, and then here it will show you what is the cycle we need to add. So just select the version of the project and which cycle you are going to add. So I think functional is not coming here. So let's select the cycle. First is ad hoc. So click to, okay, it should come here. Let me just check once again. So it is showing only two cycles, right? But we have created two cycles. It's giving only one cycle. Let's go and verify once again. So here, uh, so go to test. Okay, so here plan test cycle. Okay, oh, so regression cycle is removed somehow. So currently we have only ad hoc cycle. Let's create one more cycle. Okay, so let's create a new cycle. So here I will name it as a functional testing and then finally save it. Okay, so now it is saved. Fine. So once it is saved, just go here, and currently we don't have any test cases planned. Now again go back to the test. Okay, now here we need to plan. So let's go back again. So total test 2 we have created, right? So go back. Okay, let's click on the total test. Okay, now these are two test cases currently we have. We need to plan these two test cases. We need to add them to the cycle. So click on this test case and add it here, add to test cycle. So now it will show you both the cycles. Now you can see ad hoc and functional. So whichever cycle you have to add, just select that cycle. Okay, and assign to me, or some, if you want to assign this test case for some other person, select the radio button and select the one more person here and click on add. Okay, and similarly I will also add the second test case to that particular cycle. So add to test cycle and select the cycle and me, select assign to me and then click on add. Okay, so now we have added all our test cases to your test cycle. Now we need to start execution. Now we need to start execution of the test cases. So how to start execution? And these test cases we have to execute either manually or automated, but the status should be updated here. So now I will show you how to update the status of these two test cases. And if you come back and go to the project and test, okay, go to the project and test. Here you can see, right? So here we already planned the test, and here there is option called execute test. Execute test. So we have done all these activities. Okay, we have done the test cases creation, we have done the planning of test cycle. Now we need to execute our test. Okay, so we need to execute our test. Click on the execute test. So click on execute test. Now you will enter into this cycle. So you will enter into this cycle. So which cycle we have planned? Functional testing, right? So click on this functional testing now. So in this functional testing, you will see two test cases I've added here. These are the two test cases. Now currently we haven't executed, so that it is unexecuted. So just we need to update the status here. So how we can update? Click on this edit mark. It will give you whether it's test case passed or failed or VIP or blocked or unexecuted. So one of the status we have to select. But when we need to select this status? After you executed your test case, either through manually or automation. Okay, suppose my first test case is passed, then you have to update is a pass and then click on the tick mark. It will turn into green color. And suppose when I executing my test case 2, it is failed, so I can just update this as a failed. So let me just fail it and click on the tick mark. Now this test case is failed. So this is how we need to update the status. So now what I have done is we have just created the test cases added all the test cases to one side test cycle, and then we have executed those test cases. Means we have updated the status for those test cases. So now it is done. Similarly, we have to also do the adding all the test cases and the plan for execution and update the status. Now, if you want to see the complete status, like what is project, how many test cases we created, how many have been executed, how many are failed, how many are fall, how many are passed. If you want to see the complete report, then you need to go for test metrics. Okay. And if you go and see the test metrics, it will give you the detailed information. It will automatically calculate the all the metrics. Okay. Now, right. So for now, so here functional testing, why it is giving 100% is completed. This is completion of cycle. Okay, this is execution cycle. If you see this graph, there is one test case pass and one test case failed, and this green is nothing but execution cycle. Okay, and if you go and see clearly test summary, and it will give you the more clear information. Okay, and this is a test summary report, and if you observe here, total tests 2 and executed 2 test cases. Okay, and now if we click on the test cycles, okay, see now here it is clearly showing 100% executed, 50% is passed and 50% is failed, and traceability also we can see here clearly. If you go to the traceability tag, so it will give you requirements and corresponding test cases and execution and the defect. If you raise any defect, it will show you, or else it will not show anything. So select all the versions. Issue type is let's, if there is any bugs, it will select the bugs or click on the search button. So we need to select the valid. Suppose if you select the bug here, click on the search option. Now this is the bug we have raised for this release. And suppose if you select the story, and these are the stories we have created, and if you see the subtask, and these are the different tasks we have created, right? So all these things we can see in the reports. So this is how we need to do all the test management activities by using Jira. So let me just summarize what we have done so far is, as I said, Jira can be done two different activities. One is Agile or Scrum activities. As part of this, we have seen how to create epic and user stories, how to create the sprint in Jira, how to add stories to the sprint, how to start the sprint, how to add subtasks to the story in the sprint, and how to move the stories one to-do list to in progress to the done. And finally, at the time of sprint, we already know, we already seen about how to create the bugs, and finally we moved all the tasks to the completed status. And these are all Scrum activities. And especially when you come to the test management, we have created the test cases, and all these things are possible if you add this plugin to the Jira. Okay, otherwise test manage activity we cannot perform. So add this plugin, and then we have done Jira settings to display the test issue in the drop down. These are the setup things. And after doing this setup, we have seen how to create the test cases, how to create the test cycles, how to execute or update the test cases in Jira. Okay, so this is how we will perform all actions or activities in Jira. So this much is enough for tester and QA. And as I said, there are n number of people will involve in this. So some of them are administrators. They will do some administration part. They will they will managing the Jira tool. And some of them are product owners. They will create the stories and epics. And sprints will be created by the Scrum Master, and task will be added to the stories by the team. So there are multiple people will be involved in the process, and this tool is also used by the complete project team. Okay, so that is all about Jira. So this is how we need to use Jira in the real time. This is purely complete agile process tool, and additionally it will also support test management activities and also bug reporting also we can do by using this tool. Okay, so that's all for today. So if you have any questions now, we can ask me. Okay.